Chapter 99. The autumn night was very cool, but Charlotte was sweating profusely. He started cooking at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and only stopped when it was almost 7 o'clock. He was very tired, but he also harvested a table full of delicious food. There was Italian-style steak with sauce, Sichuan-style spicy chicken, Australian-style lamb chop, French-style roast goose, and so on. These dishes with different flavors were all made from recipes that he found on the internet. Although it was his first time making it, it was not authentic, but with the microscopic ability of his left eye to observe the ingredients, it looked good and smelled good. This was also the first time Charlotte spent so much time making such a sumptuous dinner for someone. All of this was because the person who was coming to his house was Long Bing, a person he really wanted to thank. If it wasn't for Long Bing's thunderous methods, it was really hard to predict what would have happened on the construction site. After putting a bottle of Zhongyu Cabernet Sauvignon on the table, Charlotte subconsciously looked at the old-fashioned clock on the wall. The time was just the starting point. It's 7 o'clock. Why isn't she here yet? Could it be that she has a mission and can't come? If that's the case, who am I making so many dishes for? Charlotte was a little anxious as he walked to the balcony. The sky was already dark, the uncles and aunties in the community were dancing in the green belt. It was very lively. Looking around, Charlotte didn't see Long Bing, but he saw Jiang Rui. Jiang Rui was sitting on the balcony of her house eating a watermelon. She was wearing loose home clothes, the soft fabric stuck to her skin, her breasts were very high, and her butt was full and perky. It was very pleasing to the eye. Looking down, he also saw the soft snow white exposed from her neckline, the white and beautiful cleavage. It was bottomless. This kind of person could easily evoke certain thoughts in people, making them want to do something to her. Jiang Rui seemed to have a pair of eyes on top of her head. When Charlotte was looking at her, she said without raising her head, "What are you looking at?" "Shameless." Charlotte was puzzled. "How did you know I was looking at you?" Jiang Rui put down the watermelon skin in her hand and looked up at Charlotte. "The moment you appeared, your shadow appeared under my feet. Your shadow is as wretched as you, don't you know?" Then she pointed a finger at the ground between her feet. Sure enough, on the ground between her legs, a round head was reflected on the ground. From that position, it looked like he was peeking at the scenery between her legs. Charlotte smiled bitterly. "Rui, I didn't offend you. Did you eat gunpowder today? You don't like what I do. Well, have I ever found you pleasing to the eye?" "Charlotte, is she not here yet?" Jiang Rui asked. "Not yet," said Charlotte. Jiang Rui smiled and said, "I can smell the fragrance of your cooking at home. If she doesn't come, you can invite me to eat. I haven't cooked yet." Charlotte was about to agree when a slender and graceful figure suddenly entered his sight. Long Bing came, wearing a black dress, black high heels, a black handbag, and a black princess hat. She was noble and elegant, with a bit of mysterious and cold temperament. She was still so different, easily distinguishable from all the other people in this community. Charlotte smiled and said, "She's here. If we have leftovers, I'll invite you to eat." "Go to hell." Jiang Rui grabbed a piece of watermelon skin and prepared to hit Charlotte. When she raised her hand, Charlotte had already disappeared from the balcony. Long Bing walked to the corridor. "Hello, Miss Long," Jiang Rui greeted. Long Bing lightly nodded and then walked into the corridor. Jiang Rui shrugged and said to herself, "Tomorrow I'll also buy a dress like this. I'll even buy black underwear. Let's see who looks more like the Black Widow." Long Bing didn't hear these words. She went to the second floor and knocked on the door. Charlotte opened the door with a smile. "You're here. Please come in." Long Bing lightly said, "I could have come earlier, but I was delayed by something. Well, I didn't have time to buy a gift." Charlotte smiled and said, "Why are you being so polite with me? You haven't eaten yet, right? I cooked a few dishes. Let's eat together." Long Bing took off the black princess hat on her head and put it on the sofa. Then she followed Charlotte to the dining table. Seeing the table full of delicious dishes of different flavors, she showed a surprised expression and asked, "Did you make all these dishes?" Charlotte said, "I'm the only one in this room. If I didn't make them, did someone else make them? Have a taste. I don't know how good they are." Long Bing said, I can tell from the appearance and smell that they're good. I'm getting more and more curious about you. Not only can you process ultra-precision parts, but you can also speak several languages. Now you can also make so many delicious dishes. And you, according to the information I can find, you're just a high school student. What's the story behind you? Charlotte smiled and said, Is this an investigation on me? Longbing sat down and said, Let's talk while we eat. Charlotte sat behind Longbing. He poured a glass of red wine for Longbing, and then poured a glass for himself. Longbing and Charlotte clinked glasses. After taking a sip of wine, she said, Do you know why I investigated you? Charlotte shook his head and said, I don't know, but I don't think it's because of curiosity. Let's talk about your father. Longbing looked at Charlotte with a strange look in her eyes. Charlotte was slightly stunned. Why do you suddenly want to talk about my father? I'm suddenly curious about him. Why? Is it inconvenient to talk about him? That's not it. Charlotte said, I don't know much about my father. He never told me what he did until he disappeared. I didn't know what he did. In my impression, he was always very busy and often went on business trips. He spent about half a year outside. That's all. I don't know anything else. Longbing took a bite of the roast goose cooked by Charlotte, and then smiled. It's really good. The roast goose I ate in France tasted like this. It's very authentic. Charlotte smiled bitterly, and then picked up a piece of spicy chicken for Longbing with his chopsticks. Then eat more. Longbing ate some dishes and drank 2 glasses of wine. Just when Charlotte thought that she would not have any more strange questions, she said, Your father's name is Xia Changhe. The household registration file shows that he was born in 1965. He is 50 years old this year. He has a high school education and graduated from Haizhu First Middle School. After graduation, he joined the army. Because of his hard work and excellent performance, he joined the Special Forces in his 3rd year. After serving in the Special Forces for 3 years, he retired. After that, there is no record of him. My father was a soldier? Charlotte said in surprise. How is that possible? My sister and I never knew that he was a soldier. You really don't know? Longbing looked straight at Charlotte. Charlotte said, I really don't know. I have no reason to lie to you. After a pause, he said, What's wrong with you today? Aren't you investigating me? Why do you always talk to me about my father? Longbing said, Don't you think it's strange that your father never told you that he was a soldier? Also, he never told you what he did for a living. Don't you think it's strange? Why did he disappear? Don't you think it's strange? Charlotte was stunned. In the past, he had never felt that there was anything wrong with his father, Xia Changhe. But now, facing Longbing and facing her questions, he suddenly felt that his father was not normal at all. There was a secret that he and his sister didn't know. Longbing said again, What makes me feel strange is that I can only find his files after he was discharged from the army. I can't find anything after he married your mother. What do you want to say? Longbing was silent for a moment, then raised her glass. Forget it, nothing. Maybe it's because he's too ordinary that there's no record. Forget it. Let's not talk about your father anymore. Let's drink. Your cooking is really delicious. She must have wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say it. Charlotte smiled bitterly, clinked his glass with Longbing's, and then drank more than half of the red wine in the glass. Let me give you a piece of advice. Longbing said. Charlotte looked at her. What? Longbing said, Because of the Shinjo Industrial Group, you have attracted some people's attention. In the future, be low-key and be careful. Charlotte said, I didn't do anything illegal. What's wrong with being noticed? I'm not worried about that. Longbing said, Not all people are good people. Some people are staring at you, and their eyes are not all good. Do you understand what I mean? Charlotte nodded. Well, I'll listen to you. Longbing said, Huang Yihu's matter ends here. Don't touch the Gu family. You're not their opponent. Charlotte said, The Gu family is not clean at all. You didn't investigate the Gu family, but investigated me. What's the reason? The Gu family is not clean. Many people know it, and the higher-ups also know it. It's not that we don't want to touch it, but it's not the right time. As for when to do it, it's not up to people like me to decide. As for investigating you, don't take it too seriously. I came here to eat with you, but in fact, I came to say goodbye to you. I'm going back to the capital. You don't want to investigate me? Long Bing's mouth showed a trace of a smile. With your experience, it won't take me a day to start investigating you from the time you were in kindergarten. I've already written the report, and I'll hand it in later. The investigation against you is also over. What did you find? Charlotte tentatively asked. Long Bing said, You're normal. I didn't find anything special. Charlotte secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't want anyone to know the secret of his left eye, and Long Bing was no exception. At this moment, Jiang Rui's voice suddenly came from downstairs. Lei, come down quickly. Huang Yihu is dead. Charlotte was shocked. He hurriedly got up and ran to the balcony. Jiang Rui was standing downstairs. She said anxiously, Come with me to the detention center. Huang Yihu hanged himself. Okay, wait for me. I'll come down right away, Charlotte said. At this time, Long Bing came from behind him and grabbed his arm. Did you forget what I just said to you so quickly? This matter ends here. Don't meddle in it anymore. Charlotte was stunned on the spot. Long Bing leaned over the railing and looked at Jiang Rui. Bureau Chief Jiang, you go handle the case. Lei has to accompany me for dinner, so I won't accompany you to the detention center. Then, without waiting for Jiang Rui to answer, she pulled Charlotte away from the balcony. Jiang Rui was stunned for a long time, and a sentence came out of her small mouth. Eat until you die. Chapter 100. After dinner, Charlotte made a cup of pu'er tea for Long Bing. Long Bing sat on the sofa and quietly tasted the tea. The light shone on her body. Her white skin, black dress, and long legs were gently crossed. Everything about her was so beautiful. If she wasn't so cold and inhuman, she would be a charming woman. Charlotte looked at her and saw the outline of the pistol on the outside of her thigh. He couldn't help but be speechless. She even brought a gun to dinner. Is there a time when she doesn't bring a gun? Xia Shui is good. She's a very good girl. I like her very much. Long Bing put down the teacup. Charlotte smiled and said, She is really good. Thank you for taking care of her in the capital. Long Bing's eyebrows frowned slightly. Do you have to be so polite with me? Charlotte said awkwardly. Okay, I won't say thank you. I'm leaving. Long Bing got up and said. Charlotte also stood up. Don't you want to sit for a while? No, I still have to catch a flight. Long Bing walked to the door. Charlotte rushed to Long Bing and opened the door for her. Then take care. Call me when you have time. Long Bing stopped at the door and looked straight at Charlotte. Remember my words. Your grievances with Huang Yihu have been settled. Don't provoke the Gu family. Charlotte nodded and said, I know my own capabilities very well. You can rest assured that I won't provoke the Gu family. And that's good. After a pause, Long Bing said, Also, you're fine now. Don't do anything that is against the country. If you do something that is against the country, I will be the first to not let you go. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Why did you suddenly think of saying this to me? Do I look like a bad person in your eyes? I was just saying, go back, don't see me out. Long Bing patted Charlotte's shoulder and went downstairs. Charlotte stood at the door for a long time before closing the door and returning to his room. He felt very strange. She was so strange tonight. First, she asked me a lot of questions about my father, and then she reminded me not to do anything that would betray the country. Is she suspecting my father or me? The face of his father, Xia Changhe, appeared in Charlotte's mind again. He walked to the TV cabinet and took out the glass bottle that was placed behind the family photo. The white pill lay quietly at the bottom of the bottle. Fan Fan looked like a forgotten amoxicillin capsule. He opened the bottle cap and took out the pill. He sniffed the pill. It smelled the same as 5 years ago. There was no smell of medicine. It was a smell similar to engine lubricant, which was very strange. He still remembered that when his father, Xia Changhe, gave him this pill for the first time, he asked why this pill had such a strange smell. His father, Xia Changhe, didn't tell him and just asked him to take the medicine. Dad, what exactly do you do? Are you still in this world? If you are, why don't you go home? Charlotte's mind was filled with many questions. His thoughts of his father were also aroused, and the corners of his eyes were a little moist. Ding-ling-ling, ding-ling-ling. A series of ringtones interrupted Charlotte's thoughts. He put the pill into the glass bottle and then put the glass bottle behind the family photo. Then he took out his cell phone to answer the phone. The phone call was from Jiang Rui. Lei, has that woman left? Charlotte said. Yes, she just left. It's good that she left. Why should she care about you? Who is she to you? Seriously. Jiang Rui grumbled. After venting, he said, Do you want to come and take a look? He died in an ugly way. Huang Yihu's eyes were protruding, and his tongue was hanging out. Charlotte felt disgusted. He quickly interrupted Jiang Rui's words. Don't say it. Did you call to disgust me? I'm happy for Shaoan and you. If you see Huang Yihu like this, you will be very happy, Jiang Rui said. Huang Yihu was dead. Logically speaking, Xia Lei should be happy, but for some reason, he didn't feel the pleasure of avenging a great hatred. When a person died, the grudge was extinguished. The dead wouldn't feel anything. And what was the point of the living being happy for a while? Did he really hang himself? Xia Lei recalled the scene he saw in the interrogation room at the police station during the day, the sneer of the middle-aged man surnamed Shi before he left, and the way he called Huang Yihu an idiot. He really hanged himself. He used his shoelaces to hang himself. Charlotte said, What about Li Yulan? Li Yulan is fine. We haven't told her yet. Jiang Rui said, Are you coming or not? If not, I'll hang up. I don't have time to chat with you. Charlotte hesitated for a moment. Forget it. I won't come. This is the police's business. I don't want to get involved. Well, good night. I wish you a nightmare. Jiang Rui said and hung up the phone. Charlotte shook his head with a bitter smile and put away his cell phone. He was still thinking about Huang Yihu hanging himself. Who would feel the most at ease if Huang Yihu died? Of course, it would be the officials involved and the Gu family, because only a dead person's mouth would be safe. According to the logic of who benefited the most, then those officials and the Gu family were the most suspicious. Between the two, only the Gu family had the ability to shut Huang Yihu's mouth forever in the detention center. The Gu family is the most suspicious. With Long Bing's ability, how could she not guess this? But even she didn't get involved. Why should I get involved? In the end, Charlotte's heart was calm. Huang Yihu is dead. Ma Xiaoan's revenge has been avenged. The grievances between Huang Yihu and me have been written off. I don't need to worry about these things anymore. I'll have a good sleep. Tomorrow, I'll go to the construction site. The construction of the Thunder Horse system is what I should worry about. Well, I'm going to sleep. When passing the living room, Charlotte took another look at the family photo on the TV cabinet, then went back to the room to sleep. Huang Yihu was dead. No one came to the construction site to make trouble, and the progress of the project was fast and stable. Charlotte went to the construction site every day and then went to the studio on the street to have a look. Lima Manufacturing Company had not been built yet, but the Thunder Horse studio still had orders to complete, so Chun Ajiao, Zhou Xiaohong, and others still stayed in the Thunder Horse studio to work. Once the Lima Manufacturing Company was built, Charlotte would close the studio and transfer Zhou Xiaohong and others back to the company. In addition to the construction site and the studio, Charlotte didn't forget to learn Wing Chun. Every day after the construction site, he would drive Liang Xiao home, and then learn Wing Chun with Liang Zhengchun and practice with Liang Xiao. If it was still early, he would drive home. If he practiced for a long time and it was late, he would simply spend the night at the Liang family. His master's home was equivalent to his own home, and there was no problem of inconvenience for him. When at the Liang family, Charlotte's cooking skills also won the favor of Liang Zhengchun and Liang Xiao. The father and daughter praised his cooking skills. If he didn't cook one night, they wouldn't be used to it. That's right, a diligent and ambitious apprentice who could cook good dishes. What's there not to like as a master and senior sister? 1 month later. A month ago, the 13th was still an open space, and the ground was covered with weeds. Today, a month later, a factory had been erected. The factory was not big, but the workshop, warehouse, office building, canteen, and dormitory were all available. The office building was a 4-story steel building. The upper 3 and 4 floors were the office area of the Lima Manufacturing Company, and the basement, 1st and 2nd floors were used for the supermarket. Because of the plan to build the supermarket, Charlotte was also forced to find Mayor Hu Ho to borrow a low-interest loan of 6 million yuan, part of which was used to pay for the construction of the Forrester new building materials company, and part of which was used to purchase equipment and materials. The street studio ended its existence the day before the completion of the Lima Manufacturing Company, and Zhou Xiaohong and others also came to the newly built factory. Several employees of Lima Studio were skilled workers and the company's veterans. Charlotte didn't forget them. Each of them was given a suitable position, such as squad leader, section leader, and so on. Among this group of old employees, Zhou Xiaohong had the highest position, and Charlotte gave her the position of workshop director. The woman from Dashan had a big smile on her face. The old employees just happened to lead the technical school graduates recruited from the technical school. They were all very young and needed some older people to lead them. The new college graduates recruited from the Polytechnic Institute were stationed in the office building. They had different missions. They would design the products that belonged to Lima Manufacturing Company. They would assist Charlotte in managing the company. They would bring in new orders for Lima Manufacturing Company. They would operate the capital operations of Lima Manufacturing Company, and so on. Although they were all very young and even had no work experience, Charlotte believed in them and was willing to work with them to create a future that belonged to Lima Manufacturing Company. As Mayor Hu Ho and Charlotte's scissors fell, a big red silk flower fell into the plate held by Liang Xiao, and there was a warm applause in front of the gate of Lima Manufacturing Company. "Congratulations, Mr. Xia." Mayor Hu Ho shook hands with Charlotte with a kind smile on his face. "Do a good job. The future of the world belongs to you young people." Charlotte smiled. "Thank you, Mayor Hu, for coming to our company's ribbon-cutting ceremony." Hu Ho smiled and said, "What are you thanking me for? It's my honor that you invited me. Your company is small and inconspicuous, but I believe that you can make it bigger and stronger. Maybe your Lima Manufacturing Company will become the second Dongfang heavy industry in the local area. I will work hard and not let you down, Mayor Hu," Charlotte said politely. Such politeness was essential when dealing with leaders. Lunch was held in the cafeteria of Lima Manufacturing Company. It was a working meal. There was no good wine or food, but the scene was very lively. After lunch, Mayor Hu Ho left with his secretary. Charlotte and Qin Xiang also went to the supermarket area downstairs of the office building. The supermarket area was empty, without a shelf or a cashier. "When will the store open?" Qin Xiang looked around the empty supermarket area and said anxiously, "You asked me to manage the supermarket for you, but there's not even a pack of sanitary napkins here?" "I don't care," Charlotte said with a smile. "What do you want sanitary napkins for?" Qin Xiang said embarrassedly, "I was just making an analogy. I want sanitary napkins. Why do you want sanitary napkins for me?" "Okay, I'm not joking with you," Charlotte said seriously. "I really want our supermarket to open immediately so that it can relieve some of my financial pressure. But the renovation cost of the supermarket is at least hundreds of thousands, and the goods are easily more than $1 million. I have calculated that our supermarket needs 3 or 4 million to open, and I have no money in my hands. The remaining money needs to be paid at the end of the month, so I don't dare to use it. Borrow from Hu Ho again." Qin Xiang said, "He can lend you 6 million, so he can lend you another 10 million. Charlotte smiled bitterly and said, "He is lending me money to open a company, and he's also looking at the Shenzhou Industry Group. If I borrow money to open a supermarket, won't he roll his eyes at me? I opened a supermarket on this land to take advantage of others. I can't take advantage of others. What should I do?" Charlotte thought for a moment and said, "You go and see if there is a supplier who is willing to sell goods first and then pay the bill. If there is, you directly sign the contract with him on behalf of me. I'm going to use my connections to find such a supplier." Qin Xiang sighed. "All right, I'll give it a try." Charlotte said, "Well, dress formally. You look so bad." Qin Xiang pinched her waist and stared at Charlotte. Charlotte felt that he said so much in vain. Chapter 101. On the second day of the ribbon cutting, the spacious and bright workshop was bustling with activity. The orders transferred from the former Thunder Horse studio played the role of running in equipment and workers. Charlotte arranged the ordinary orders from Shenzhou Industry Group a week later. The purpose was to let the workers recruited from the technical school familiarize themselves with the equipment in the factory. At the beginning of production, Charlotte didn't think about making a lot of money immediately. As long as the company could continue to operate, he would have the money to pay the workers and buy the 5 insurances and 1 fund for the workers. Everything was difficult at the beginning. Once all aspects of things were smoothed out, he would seek development. This was also Charlotte's business strategy. He was never an impatient person. He wanted to be down to earth and steady in everything he did. Walking in the aisle of the workshop, he saw Zhou Xiaohong mopping the floor with a mop from afar. The blue overalls wrapped around her buttocks, outlining a plump shape. It was like a lotus leaf in a pond or a ripe peach, very attractive. Because of her bent posture, her breasts were also vertical, and the fabric of her blouse was full as if it was about to split. Many newly recruited young workers glanced at her breasts from time to time, as well as her plump buttocks. Her figure was already plump. Didn't she know to change into a larger overalls? Charlotte smiled bitterly and walked over. "Brother Charlotte, Mr. Xia." When Charlotte approached, Zhou Xiaohong noticed Charlotte and then stood up straight. She really did have the seductive smell of a girl in overalls. Charlotte wanted to remind her that someone was peeping at her, but the words changed when they were on the tip of his tongue. "Well, Xiaohong, are you used to the new environment?" Zhou Xiaohong blushed inexplicably. "I'm used to it. It's just, I'm a little guilty to manage more than 30 people. I'm afraid I can't do it well." The Thunder Horse Manufacturing Company was divided into 3 workshops. Zhou Xiaohong was only in charge of one of them. Yang Benkai and Lu Xuebing were in charge of the other 2. Cui Yong was Yang Bencai's assistant. Wang Youfu was Lu Xuebing's assistant. And Chena Jiao was Zhou Xiaohong's assistant. The people who had worked with Charlotte in Rema Studio had all been promoted, and Charlotte had fulfilled his promise. Charlotte said, "It's okay. I'll get used to it slowly. Chena Jiao is your assistant. You can let her help you. Also, you can assign this kind of work to the workers. As a workshop director, you should have the airs of a workshop director. You are too easy to talk to, and after a long time, the workers will not be afraid of you. Sometimes, they will not listen to you." Zhou Xiaohong nodded. "I know. I won't let you down, Brother Lei Zi." Xiao Lei smiled. "I'll go somewhere else to take a look." After taking a step, he suddenly stopped and said in a low voice, "Little Red, go and change into a bigger set of work clothes. Several workers are peeking at your butt." "Ah." Zhou Xiaohong's face suddenly turned red. She hurriedly reached out to cover her butt and said nervously, "Is there a hole in my pants?" This sentence seemed to be a switch. Charlotte's left eye suddenly twitched uncontrollably, and he suddenly saw a large area of snow white. He looked away awkwardly and said in a low voice, "No, it's your pants that are too small. Your butt is filling up the pants. How can those young people from technical schools not look at it?" Zhou Xiaohong was so embarrassed that she wanted to die. "It's so big. What can I do? This is already the largest size of pants." Charlotte was speechless. Is my butt ugly?" Zhou Xiaohong said nervously. "It's not ugly. It looks good." As soon as this sentence came out, Charlotte felt that it was a little inappropriate. Wasn't this telling Zhou Xiaohong that he was also looking at her, but just now? Sure enough, Zhou Xiaohong was even more shy. She lowered her head in front of her chest and didn't dare to look at Charlotte's eyes. The atmosphere became awkward. Charlotte couldn't find a topic to talk about and quickly left. Charlotte then went to the other 2 workshops. After a round, he returned to the office on the 4th floor. His office was also Liang Xiao's office. It was a space of 50 square meters, separated only by a fog glass wall. Liang Xiao was busy at her desk. The glass on the table was empty, and she was reluctant to get up to pour water. Charlotte quietly walked over, took the glass of water, and was ready to pour water for her. It wasn't until Charlotte put a glass of water on the desk that Liang Xiao found that Charlotte had come back. She adjusted the glasses on the bridge of her nose and smiled. "Is everything okay in the workshop?" Charlotte said, "It's okay. These days are for the workers to practice. When they are proficient, let them do the ordinary orders of Shenzhou Industry Group." It's not a long-term solution to only rely on the orders of Shinjo Industry Group. They give us ordinary orders because you can process special orders for them. Once there's a problem, there are hundreds of people in the factory to feed, and the insurance is also a big expense. Liang Xiao said, "We have to have our own products and our own brand, so that we won't be controlled by others." Charlotte said, "Do Guan Lingshan and Yihao have any good ideas?" Liang Xiao said with a smile, "They are all students who just graduated from school. They have knowledge, but they lack experience. I think it's up to you to decide what we produce." Charlotte smiled and said, "Well, I'll think about it, but such a big thing can't be done in a short time. Why don't you think about it? Maybe you can come up with a better idea than me." Liang Xiao stretched herself and slightly tilted her cherry lips. "My neck is so sore and my inspiration is gone. Can you help me massage it? Maybe the inspiration will come back." Her lazy expression and soft tone made her look like a lazy cat that was acting coquettishly. Under the black uniform skirt, a pair of snow-white long legs were plump and smooth, indescribably attractive. Her snow-white neck was exposed to the air without any cover, giving people the feeling that it was like ice cream in midsummer, which would melt if the temperature was slightly higher. How could he refuse such a request from her? Although Charlotte felt that it was a little inappropriate, he really cared about Liang Xiao. He was afraid that she would be tired, so it was good to let her relax. With that thought in mind, he walked behind Liang Xiao, grabbed her snow-white neck, and gently massaged her. Liang Xiao's skin was very delicate and smooth. Charlotte's fingers massaged her skin carefully, as if he was afraid that he would rub her skin with too much force. The gentle massage made Liang Xiao feel relaxed. She closed her eyes, leaned her neck back, and leaned against Charlotte's lower abdomen. She murmured, "Use more force a little lower. It's so comfortable." Her voice seemed to have a kind of magic, and it made Charlotte's heart sway. His original goal of letting her relax quickly turned into the goal of pleasing her and making her more comfortable. His fingers also expanded the range of movement. Not only did he massage her neck, but he also massaged her shoulders. His strength also increased from light to heavy. His vision also entered another mode uncontrollably. In his eyes, Liang Xiao had become a tribal girl from a primitive tribe, and she had just come out of the clear spring water. No one knew what he saw. This was his secret, and he had long been used to these beautiful scenery that other men would never be able to enjoy in their entire lives. "It's so comfortable. Use a little more force. I can take it. It's so comfortable. Just like this, a little lower." Liang Xiao's cherry lips revealed a beautiful voice. She had long thrown away the idea of ideas to the nine heavens. Charlotte's cheeks were red, and his breathing became short. He was providing a massage service to Liang Xiao. Liang Xiao was very comfortable, but he was very uncomfortable. At this moment, a strange cough came from the door. "Cough, cough." Charlotte was startled and hurriedly backed away. He glanced over and saw that it was Qin Xiang standing at the door. Liang Xiao also hurriedly opened her eyes, and her face was blushing. She didn't think much of the sound she made when Charlotte was massaging her, but with an outsider around, it wasn't the same feeling anymore. I didn't see anything." Qin Xiang entered the office. He walked like a cat, and when he spoke, he even made an orchid gesture with his fingers. He was extremely sissy. "We didn't do anything," Charlotte explained. Didn't I say that I didn't see anything?" "You don't have to explain anything to me," Qin Xiang said. The more he explained, the worse it was. Liang Xiao's face became even redder. Charlotte hurriedly changed the topic. "Oh yes, is there any progress on your side?" Qin Xiang pursed his lips and smiled. "Don't you know who's doing it? How can there be no progress? Hurry up and tell me." Charlotte was a little anxious. Qin Xiang said, "Last night, I went to borrow some of the supermarket's purchase data and found a lot of supplier information, as well as their prices, settlement methods, and so on. I have everything I want." Charlotte was stunned for a moment. When Qin Xiang said borrow, she definitely didn't mean borrow, but steal. Qin Xiang continued to say, "I found that other supermarkets need to pay in full when they purchase goods, and some need to pay part of it. They settle the bill every month. Some of the goods they're selling will need to be paid in full, or they won't be able to get the goods. After borrowing the information of other supermarket suppliers, I tried to make more than a dozen phone calls. As a result, when I told them the location of our supermarket, they all expressed their willingness to cooperate. The supply, settlement methods, prices, and so on can be discussed face-to-face. So, I came to ask when you're free so that I can ask them to come over and talk. Charlotte smiled. You're really good. I thought this matter would be difficult, but I didn't expect you to have some progress so quickly. I've already handed this matter to you, so you can talk to them directly. Also, I've given you full authority to manage the supermarket, so you can also handle the recruitment. Qin Xiang waved her thumb and middle finger. Okay, I'll go talk to those suppliers about the cooperation. As for the recruitment, I'll invite my former sisters and the aunties and sisters-in-law in our neighborhood. People are not a problem. Hee. Liang Xiao finally found a chance to interrupt. She said, when you go to talk to those suppliers, you must mention our geographical location and our own shop. We can sell a lot of goods, but we are a little short of funds at the moment. Ask them to give in. After the supermarket's operation is smooth, we won't owe them a penny. Okay, Sister Xiao is really smart. If any man marries you, he will be really lucky. As she spoke, the person Qin Xiang looked at was Charlotte. Charlotte moved his gaze away and looked at the water dispenser. I'm going. You guys continue. Remember, keep your voice down. It's fine if I see it, but if other colleagues see it, it will have a big impact. Qin Xiang left these words and swayed her hips as she left. Sissy, Liang Xiao muttered. Then, she looked at Charlotte with a very gentle look. Lazy, give senior sister another massage. I just felt a little better when Qin Xiang came. I haven't had enough yet. Charlotte secretly glanced at his own pants, then braced himself and moved closer. Is this the first day of work for CEO Xia? Chapter 102. It was impossible for a manufacturing company to only rely on processing other people's parts if it did not have its own research and design main products. This was a world of cruel competition. Although parasitizing on Shenzhou Industrial Group could temporarily solve the problem of survival, the dream of becoming bigger and stronger was out of the question. If Shenzhou Industrial Group did not need him one day, then Lima Manufacturing Company would be finished. Charlotte was very clear about this. He also wanted to have his own products in his own market, but it was easier said than done. He and Liang Xiao racked their brains for ideas, but there was no clue until they got off work. Let's go to my house. My dad wants to eat your cooking. When they got off work, Liang Xiao said to Charlotte, also, you have made rapid progress recently. I also want to compare notes with you. Well, I live alone anyway. No one will care if I don't go back, Charlotte said. You really should find a woman to control you. Oh, I haven't thought about it yet, Charlotte said. Shintu Tianing's appearance appeared in his mind again, but he did not know why. Let's go. I'll drive. Liang Xiao reached out her hand. Give me the car key. Charlotte gave the car key to Liang Xiao and said, when I make money, I'll buy you one. Liang Xiao was slightly stunned. Why buy me a car? Charlotte said, do I need a reason to buy you a car? Liang Xiao's cheeks inexplicably turned red. She showed a beautiful smile. I won't be polite. If you buy it for me, I'll accept it. The two chatted and laughed as they went downstairs and walked to the parking lot. The workers in the workshop also got off work and walked to the cafeteria in twos and threes. They were all very young. The boys and girls were fighting and their laughter could be heard from afar. Liang Xiao suddenly thought of something. By the way, our workers are all recruited from school. They're all young people. I think we should talk to them about safety issues. Otherwise, it will be bad if they cause trouble. Charlotte said, didn't I tell you? I also told the three workshop directors, Zhou Xiaohong, Yang Benkai, and Lu Shuebing, that they must do a good job in safety. If the workers don't follow the safety rules, they must be punished. Liang Xiao hit Charlotte with a strange expression. I'm not talking about safety. Charlotte asked in surprise. What kind of security issue is that? Liang Xiao rolled her eyes at Charlotte. You idiot. I'm talking about the safety issues between men and women. Xiao Lei's feelings were in a mess. Liang Xiao continued. Think about it. Our workers are so young, and they are all recruited from technical schools and polytechnics. They work together and live in the same dormitory. Don't you think something like that will never happen? It doesn't matter if the workers have love in that aspect of their lives. But if they ignore safety education, once they get pregnant, it will be very bad for them. They are not ready to be parents. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. It's really complicated. I've never thought about this. Well, this matter. Before Charlotte could finish, Liang Xiao interrupted him. Don't look for me. You are responsible for this matter. Charlotte looked embarrassed. I have no experience at all. Ah, you. Liang Xiao's expression became curious, and the smile at the corner of her mouth became a little more intriguing. Don't tell me you're still that? Ahem. Charlotte avoided Liang Xiao's gaze. So you're responsible for it. Liang Xiao's cheeks turned red again. I have no experience at all. The two of them looked at each other, and the atmosphere suddenly became very awkward. How could two people who had no experience in that kind of thing teach a group of young workers about safety? I will let Qin Ajiao be responsible for it. She is thick-skinned and dares to say anything. She is the deputy workshop director. She will be fine. Charlotte quickly thought of a solution. Liang Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. I will talk to her about this matter tomorrow. Let's go home. Let's go home. This sentence added a bit of inexplicable meaning to the awkward atmosphere. Before Charlotte and Liang Xiao got in the car, a BMW drove in from the entrance and stopped in front of them in the blink of an eye. The door opened, and Qi Jingxiu, dressed in office lady attire, got out of the car. She was also holding a gilded invitation in her hand. Oh, President Xia, you didn't even tell me that your company is opening. Have you forgotten that I am your partner? Also, won't you introduce me to your beautiful secretary? Qi Jingxiu had a smile on her face, but when she spoke, she was looking at Liang Xiao, who was next to Charlotte. A beautiful woman can't see a woman who is more beautiful than her. Qi Jingxiu originally wanted to tease Qi Jingxiu, but then she found that Liang Xiao not only had a pure and beautiful face, but also had a great figure, especially her pair of long legs that were exposed from the short skirt, which occupied 2/3 of her entire body. If measured by the standards of today's beautiful legs, Liang Xiao's legs were undoubtedly the most perfect pair of legs. In this way, Qi Jingxiu was sexier and more beautiful than her. What right did she have to tease Qi Jingxiu? Charlotte said lightly, Sorry, this is my senior sister, not my secretary. Liang Xiao. Liang Xiao stretched out her hand to Qi Jingxiu and smiled politely. May I ask who you are? Qi Jingxiu. Qi Jingxiu shook hands with Liang Xiao and also had a smile on her face. I am the chief secretary of the chairman of Dongfeng Heavy Industry, Ning Yuanshan. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Liang Xiao withdrew her hand. Charlotte said, Qi Jingxiu, tell me directly. What do you want from me? Can't I come to you for no reason? Qi Jingxiu giggled. She leaned over to Liang Xiao's ear and said, Miss Liang, I'm afraid you don't know yet. Charlotte and I are high school classmates. He likes me and wrote me a love letter. Liang Xiao looked at Charlotte in surprise. Charlotte shrugged helplessly and had nothing to say. Well, I'm here to give you an invitation. Qi Jingxiu handed the gold-stamped invitation to Charlotte. Charlotte opened the invitation and glanced at it. The content of the invitation invited him to attend a banquet in the auditorium of Dongfeng Heavy Industry. The name of the inviter was Ning Yuanshan. After reading the invitation, he asked, Why is Dongfeng Heavy Industry holding a banquet? Qi Jingxiu said, Don't you know? Dongfeng Heavy Industry has signed a contract with the Wanxiang Group for a wind power project. Chairman Ning has invited celebrities from all walks of life, as well as political and business leaders to attend the banquet. Charlotte said, I'm not a celebrity. I'm afraid it's not appropriate for me to go. Please pass on my thanks to Chairman Ning. I won't be going. Qi Jingxiu said in surprise, What's wrong with you? Others can't get such an opportunity even if they want to, but you don't cherish it at all. At such a banquet, you can get real benefits if you get to know a few business bosses. What's more, Chairman Ning personally sent me to deliver an invitation to you. Who else has such an honor? If you don't go, how can you be worthy of Chairman Ning's kindness? Charlotte hesitated. He had his reasons for not going. It was because he had actually robbed the business of Dongfang Heavy Industry and Xinzhou Industrial Group. Now that Dongfang Heavy Industry had changed to cooperate with his Lima manufacturing company, how could he not be embarrassed when he went to face Ning Yuanshan? Go, Liang Xiao said. This is indeed an opportunity. Maybe our customers are among those guests. Charlotte said, well, then you go with me. Liang Xiao shook her head. I won't go. They didn't invite me. You go with Miss Qi, Charlotte nodded. Well, tell my master that I'll cook for him another day. Liang Xiao approached Charlotte and said, your tie is crooked. Let me fix it for you. After that, she reached out to fix Charlotte's tie. Her expression was natural and her movements were very gentle. On the contrary, Charlotte was a little unnatural. Liang Xiao quickly helped Charlotte fix his tie. She said, you go. I'll drive back. Be careful, Charlotte said. Liang Xiao got in the car and drove Charlotte's Great Wall H6 to the gate. So loving, Qi Jingxiu said in a teasing tone. I didn't expect you to start a business so fast. Even the speed of finding a woman is so fast. How long have you been together? Charlotte said, don't talk nonsense. She's really my senior sister. My master, Liang Zhongchun, is the successor of Yin Yongchun. Qi Jingxiu smiled. I don't know anything about Kung Fu, but don't you know what it means for a woman to help you fix your tie? Charlotte said, you think too much. Ha! No wonder you can't find a girlfriend. You don't understand a woman's heart. Otherwise, you would have chased me back then. Now, I'm afraid our children are in preschool. Qi Jingxiu said. Charlotte, when they arrived at the Wanxiang Group, the parking lot had already been filled with all kinds of high-end cars. There were many luxury cars worth tens of millions, such as Shinta Tiannin's Rolls-Royce Phantom. She's here too? Seeing Shinta Tiannin's car, Charlotte said this in his heart. But then he laughed at himself and said secretly, Dongfang Heavy Industry and the Wanxiang Group have finalized the cooperation of the wind power project. As the president of the Wanxiang Group, how could she be absent from such a dinner party? Qi Jingxiu locked the car door. President Xia, please come with me. Hearing her call him President Xia, Charlotte had a feeling of being teased. Lima Manufacturing Company was a small company attached to the Xinzhou Industrial Group. It didn't even have its own products, let alone a place in the manufacturing industry. And, as the president, he was probably the poorest one among all the presidents who attended this dinner party. What are you thinking about? Nothing. Let's go. Charlotte stopped thinking. Qi Jingxiu led Charlotte to the auditorium. As they walked, she said, Old classmate, I'll be straightforward. Are you still interested in cooperating with me? Do you have an order? Of course. Qi Jingxiu looked around and then lowered her voice. And it's a big order. I don't know if you can afford it. Charlotte said, that depends on what kind of order it is. We'll talk about this later. Qi Jingxiu said, if it's a success, I'll take 8%. What do you think? Charlotte smiled. I don't even know what the client wants, and you're talking to me about commission? This is my style. You just need to give me a statement. 5%, Charlotte said, and you have to promise that you didn't hide the client's offer. Hee. Qi Jingxiu suddenly took Charlotte's arm. Deal. Charlotte felt that his arm was squeezed by something like jelly. That feeling made him quietly nervous. He wanted to get rid of her hand, but in the end, he let Qi Jingxiu do what she wanted. For business, there had to be some sacrifices, right? Chapter 103. There were dozens of big round tables in the auditorium of Dongfang Heavy Industry. When Charlotte followed Qi Jingxiu into the auditorium, it was already full of guests. There was a stage built under the main wall of the auditorium, and a few musicians were playing a soothing song called The Street Where the Wind Lives. Beautiful music, well-dressed guests. Everywhere exuded a sense of elegance. Charlotte quickly glanced around the auditorium. He saw a few familiar faces: Ning Yuanshan, Su Jingyi, Su Lang, Ren Wenxiang, Ning Jing, and Hu Ho. He looked around the hall, but he didn't see Shinta Tianyin. He felt strange and said, her car is here, but she's not here. What's going on? Let's sit here. Qi Jingxiu took Charlotte's hand and walked to a table. There were already a few guests at the table, but Charlotte didn't know any of them. He pulled out a chair for Qi Jingxiu, and after she sat down, he sat down as well. Qi Jingxiu said in a low voice, "There's a dance party after the dinner. Dance with me." Charlotte said, "Your father-in-law and your husband will be attending the dinner party, right? Aren't you afraid that they will be unhappy if you dance with me?" Qi Jingxiu smiled. "It's just a dance, not sleeping with you. So what if they are unhappy? I don't care." Charlotte was speechless. "We'll talk about it later." Then, the musicians stopped playing and left the stage. The big LCD screen on the stage turned on, playing a promotional video of the Wanxiang Group's wind power project. The blue sea, the clean beach, countless spinning wind turbines, and an elegant woman standing on the beach. The woman's back was facing the screen. The sea breeze lifted her white dress, and she slowly danced. Her feet were bare, and she looked up at the undulating waves of the blue sea. The scene was extremely beautiful. Charlotte's eyes suddenly fixed on the big screen. Although he didn't see the woman's face, he knew that the woman was not an actress or a model. She was the president of the Wanxiang Group, Shinta Tianin. Charlotte was unable to avert his gaze. His heart rippled, a very soft ripple. "Leister, you know Shinta Tianin, and you even helped her resolve a crisis." Qi Jingxiu said, "Why don't you ask her for help? As long as she's willing to help you, it'll be hard for you not to get rich in this life. Take the current situation, for example. The Wanxiang Group's wind power project had yet to be completed, and many people were trying to buy the shares of the wind power project through their connections. This is a profitable investment. I want to buy it too, but I don't have the channels. Can't you buy it when the stock market opens?" Charlotte said. Qi Jingxiu said, "You're talking about the stocks on the secondary market. Who cares about them? Can the stocks that individual investors can buy be profitable? I'm talking about the primary market. Why don't you go to Shinta Tianin's connections and buy some for us?" Charlotte said lightly, "If you want to go, then go. I'm not familiar with her." Qi Jingxiu sighed. "Sigh, you don't want to make money. I really don't understand you." Charlotte just looked at the big screen. Shinta Tianin turned around with a bright smile on her face. A line of narration appeared on the screen. "Cherish nature, Wanxiang wind power, let's work together." The screen froze, and there was a warm applause in the auditorium. Charlotte also applauded. He secretly said in his heart, "Putting aside commercial purposes, wind power is really good for the environment. However, I'm afraid that only people at the level of Shinta Tianin can do such a good thing, right?" An investment of several billion was indeed not something that ordinary people could do. Another round of applause suddenly rang out from the entrance of the auditorium. Xiaolei turned around to take a look and just happened to see Shinta Tianin walk into the auditorium while surrounded by a group of attendants. Ning Yuanshan got up and greeted them. All the guests stood up and applauded, giving Shinta Tianin the highest honor. At this moment, Shinta Tianin was like a queen visiting the palace, incomparably noble and proud. Charlotte also stood up. This was not because he admired Shinta Tianin, but because everyone had stood up, and it was not appropriate for him to sit alone. "I have to go do something. I'll come and accompany you later," Qi Jingxiu said to Charlotte, then walked over to Shinta Tianin and Ning Yuanshan. She was Ning Yuanshan's secretary, so of course she had to do things like greeting and serving people. Shinta Tianin and Ning Yuanshan went on the stage. Ning Yuanshan first gave a speech. Then Shinta Tianin also walked to the front of the stage and said some words of gratitude and improving the environment. The banquet then began, but Qi Jingxiu did not come back. "Did Ning Yuanshan invite me here just to have a meal with me?" Charlotte's lips had a wry smile. He wanted to use this opportunity to get to know some potential customers, but it looked like his wish was going to be dashed. At this time, his phone's ringtone suddenly rang. Charlotte pulled out his phone and looked at it. It was a message from Peaceful. "Lei, why are you here? I saw you." Charlotte looked in the direction he had seen Peaceful. He saw Peaceful, and she was looking at him. Their eyes met, and Peaceful smiled at him. Charlotte smiled back at her and nodded. Ren Wenxiang, who was at the same table as Peaceful, seemed to have noticed something. He looked over and saw Xiaolei. He looked at Peaceful. His eyes were filled with annoyance. That's right. Then, Peaceful lowered her head. Su Lang, who was sitting next to Ren Wenxiang, saw Charlotte. He moved closer to Ren Wenxiang, and the two of them whispered something. What would the two of them say? Perhaps it was too boring, but Charlotte used his left eye to look at Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang. He used his lips to read their conversation. Why is Charlotte here? Su Lang looked at him with disdain. How can someone who owns a small workshop attend a banquet like this? What is Uncle Ning doing? Did he not check the guest list? Ren Wenxiang's mouth showed a trace of sneer. He probably begged Chairman Ning to let him come. People like him who come from the streets don't care about their dignity. In order to achieve their goals, they can do anything that is shameful. Su Lang said, I don't know why, but I don't like him. Ren Wenxiang quietly said, he is like a fly. I hate him too. Why don't we mess with him tonight? Let him make a fool of himself in front of everyone. That way, he will know his place. Sure. Do you have any good ideas, brethren? Ren Jiqiang put his mouth next to Su Lang's ear. Later, I will ask Peaceful to invite the kid over. Then, I will drug a bottle of wine. I will use the drugged wine to pour him wine. Then, you will fight to pour me wine. Do you understand what I mean? Su Lang nodded. I understand, but what are you going to drug him? Indian god, oil. Why do you have that kind of drug? And why do you have it on you? It will make things more interesting. You don't have to worry about that. As he spoke, Ren Wenxiang looked at Peaceful out of the corner of his eye. Peaceful still had her head down. She did not dare look at Charlotte or Ren Wenxiang. Okay, that is a good idea. I can't wait to see the kid make a fool of himself. Hee. Su Lang laughed. Ren Wenxiang smiled. Ren Wenxiang smiled. He ended his conversation with Su Lang and moved closer to Peaceful's ear. He said to her, Peaceful, I saw Mr. Xia. He's sitting there alone. He doesn't even know anyone. Go and invite him over. We all know each other. It will be fun for everyone to drink together. Ren Wenxiang smiled. Peaceful's face had a smile. Have you guys made up? Ren Wenxiang said, that unpleasantness has long passed. Am I such a petty person? Go. I also want to apologize to him. That way, we'll be friends. Okay, I will go invite him over. Peaceful stood up and walked toward Charlotte. Xia Lei sighed in his heart. Serenity was too naive and too weak. He could see that she did not like Ren Wenxiang at all, but she was pressured by her parents to be with Ren Wenxiang. Ren Wenxiang has the Indian divine oil on him. He definitely didn't expect me to come and deliberately bring it to mess with me. He wants to use it on you. Why can't you see through such a person's true colors after such a long time? Xia Lei felt sorry for Tranquility. He felt sad. Peaceful walked over. She had a happy smile on her face. Lei, what a coincidence. Did you see the message I sent you? Charlotte said, I saw it. Hello, Sister Ning. As he spoke, his line of sight shifted to Ren Wenxiang, and the dining table that was blocking his view instantly disappeared from his sight. Under the table, Ren Wenxiang pulled out a small glass bottle from his pocket. Su Lang handed an open bottle of red wine to Ren Wenxiang from under the table. Ren Wenxiang poured the brown liquid from the small glass bottle into the red wine bottle. He shook it a few times to let the wine and the medicine mix. Charlotte's left eye locked onto the red wine bottle in Ren Wenxiang's hands. The QR code on the bottle came into his sight. When Ren Wenxiang put the drugged wine bottle down, he looked away. Come sit with me, Peaceful said. It's been a while. I want to talk to you. Charlotte said, Ren Wenxiang and I had a bad time. It is not appropriate for me to go. Peaceful said, No, you don't know, but he told me to invite you over. He said he wanted to apologize to you. Charlotte said, Forget it. It is not appropriate for me to go. How about this? You sit with me at the same table. We can talk. Peaceful looked at Ren Wenxiang. She wanted to say something, but it was not convenient for her to say it. She had been happy, but in the blink of an eye, she was sad. Charlotte felt bad. He said, Sister Ning, I don't want to criticize you, but Ren Wenxiang is a very cunning person. If you follow him, you will not be happy. Peaceful's eyes were filled with tears. You know, I don't like him at all, but my parents like him. My dad has a heart condition. Charlotte stood up and said, Okay, I will go with you. Peaceful smiled again. Okay. Charlotte followed her. He walked very slowly. Sister Ning, listen to me. You are the one looking for your other half, not your parents. You have to have your own opinions. Otherwise, you will spend the rest of your life in tears. Do you want that? Serenity bit her lips and nodded slightly. Xiao Lei sighed inwardly. He thought to himself, this is all I can help you with. You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest. Chapter 104. When he walked over, Ren Wenxiang stood up from his seat. He had a friendly smile on his face. Hello, Mr. Xia. I saw that you did not know anyone at that table, so I asked Peaceful to invite you over. Let's sit together. A smile also appeared on Xiao Lei's face. Sorry for disturbing you. Thank you. Su Lang stood up and shook Charlotte's hand. It's been a while. Hello, Mr. Xia. Charlotte was polite. Hello, Mr. Su. Ren Wenxiang pulled out the chair for Charlotte. He smiled and said, we are all friends, so there is no need to be so polite. Please sit. He looked at Peaceful and said, Peaceful, you can sit on the chair next to me. Okay. Peaceful looked happy. She did not have to sit next to Ren Wenxiang. She wanted that. Charlotte and Peaceful sat down. At this time, other guests came to sit, but they did not know each other, so they did not greet each other. After chatting for a while, Ren Wenxiang gave Su Lang a look. Su Lang nodded. His lips had a creepy smile that was hard to notice. The two's little movements did not escape Xiao Lei's eyes. His left eye twitched slightly, and the dining table that was blocking his line of sight instantly disappeared from his field of vision. The situation under the table also entered his left eye's field of vision without any obstruction. He saw a bottle of red wine by Ren Wenxiang's feet and a bottle of drugged wine by Su Lang's feet. Mr. Xia, I am sorry about last time, Ren Wenxiang said. I apologize. Charlotte said, you are too kind, Mr. Ren. It was just a small thing. Don't worry about it. As he spoke, he reached for his phone. He pulled it out, but it accidentally fell to the ground. He said, I am sorry. Then, he squatted down to pick up the phone. The moment he squatted down, Charlotte switched the two bottles of red wine under the table. He picked up the phone and returned to his seat. Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang would not lift the tablecloth in front of the guests to see what Charlotte was doing under the table. They were people of status. What's more, they would never have thought that Charlotte would see through their trick and switch their drugged wine. The phone's casing had traces of being dropped. Charlotte pretended to sigh in distress and mumbled, What bad luck. Su Lang said in a slightly sarcastic tone, Mr. Xia, I heard that you're the boss of a company now. It's just a phone, not to mention that your phone is a domestic Xiaomi phone. Is there a need for this? Xiao Lei smiled awkwardly. I'm sorry. Charlotte looked simple and honest. He didn't get angry or refute Su Lang's words. The other guests at the same table also looked down on Charlotte, their eyes filled with contempt. They thought to themselves, how could such a kid be the boss of any company? It was most likely a shell company or a small workshop in the name of a company, right? Peaceful was unhappy. She said, what's wrong with using a domestic phone? Do people who use iPhones have to be rich and noble? Peaceful was actually an honest person, but it was unknown why she would stand up for Xiao Lei at a time like this. Su Lang's eyes flashed with a look of displeasure, but he didn't say anything. Then, Ren Wenxiang smiled and said, let's not talk about phones. Mr. Xia, I am sorry about what happened last time. I have been looking for a chance to apologize to you, but I never had the chance. Today, I must take this opportunity to propose a toast to you to express my apology. With that, he bent down and took out a bottle of red wine. Apologizing was just an excuse for a toast. Charlotte smiled and said, Mr. Ren, you are too kind. That is in the past. You don't have to apologize to me. Ren Wenxiang pulled out the cork. He stood up and poured wine into the goblet in front of Charlotte. He said, of course, if you don't drink, it means you don't want to forgive me. If you don't drink, it means you look down on me as a friend. He had already said that. If he didn't drink, it would be Charlotte's fault. Charlotte stood up and picked up the glass of red wine on the table. He drank it and said, give me the wine. I will pour it for you. Let's drink together. Ren Wenxiang gave Su Lang a look and poured wine for Charlotte. He said, I will pour it myself. At that moment, Su Lang stood up with a bottle of wine. He pretended to be carefree and smiled. I say, let's not be polite. Brother Ren, I will pour you wine. Let the three of us drink together. He pulled out the cork from the bottle and poured a glass of wine for Ren Wenxiang. He then poured one for himself. If he poured wine for others, he had to pour wine for himself too. That was the most basic rule at the table. Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang raised their glasses and wanted to drink with Charlotte. Charlotte shook his head. Weird. Why is this wine so strong? I only had one glass, and I feel a little dizzy. Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang looked at each other. Both of them had a sinister smile on their faces. Mr. Xia, don't lie to us. It's just a glass of red wine. I will drink first. Ren Wenxiang clinked glasses with Xia Lei, then tilted his head back and drank half of the red wine in his glass. Su Lang also clinked glasses with Charlotte and drank the red wine in his glass. Charlotte couldn't refuse, so he bit the bullet and drank the second glass of wine. Let me pour it for you. Charlotte reached out to take the wine bottle in Ren Wenxiang's hand. Ren Wenxiang didn't want to give the wine bottle to Charlotte. He poured a third glass of wine for Charlotte. Mr. Xia, I asked Peaceful to invite you over. I should be the one to pour this wine. Su Lang cooperated and poured a glass for Ren Wenxiang and himself from another bottle. Charlotte smiled and said, Okay, let's drink. We will be friends from now on. Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang looked at each other and smiled. Then, they drank their second glass of wine with Charlotte. The people at the same table looked at the three young people with displeasure. They thought they didn't know the rules and were rude. They drank before the banquet started. They lacked social etiquette, but they were all respectable people. Although they were unhappy, they didn't show it. At this time, Qi Jingxiu walked over. She looked at Charlotte and then said to Ren Wenxiang, Mr. Ren, you are the person in charge of the Wanxiang Group's wind power project. Our director Ning would like to invite you to the stage to say a few words. Okay. Ren Wenxiang stood up. He swayed, and Qi Jingxiu quickly reached out to support him. Mr. Ren, are you okay? Qi Jingxiu asked with concern. Ren Wenxiang shook his head. I'm fine. Let's go. Ren Wenxiang followed Qi Jingxiu to the stage. At the table, Su Lang shook his head. He looked a little confused. His face began to turn red, and his eyes became bloodshot. These seemed to be signs of the drug taking effect. A smile appeared on Charlotte's face. What he needed to do now was to watch the show quietly. Ren Wenxiang walked to the podium. At this time, his cheeks were red as if he had put on a layer of rouge. His eyes were also bloodshot, and his eyes looked sluggish. He looked abnormal. Qi Jingxiu stood next to Ren Wenxiang and whispered, Mr. Ren, what's wrong with you? Did you drink a lot? Are you okay? Ning Yuanshan, Shinta Tianin, Hu Ho, Su Jingyi, and other important people were sitting at the table opposite the podium. Ren Wenxiang's strange behavior naturally didn't escape the eyes of these important people. Mr. Ren seems to have drunk a lot, Ning Yuanshan said. The banquet hasn't started yet. How can he drink so much? This was just a casual remark. Ning Yuanshan didn't have the slightest bit of malice, but it sounded like mockery to Shinta Tianin. Ren Wenxiang was someone she favored and entrusted with important responsibilities. Now that Ren Wenxiang was so rude, it was simply a disgrace to her. Su Jingyi quickly smoothed things over. He said with a smile, Wenxiang is sitting at the same table as Su Lang. It's not a big deal for two young people to drink a little. But at this time, Ren Wenxiang, who was standing on the podium, panted into the microphone. His breathing was very rapid and heavy. His expression was also very excited, very strange. Mr. Ren, what's wrong? Qi Jingxiu looked very worried. Ren Wenxiang shifted his gaze to Qi Jingxiu. His originally calm face suddenly revealed a slightly sinister smile. Beauty. Qi Jingxiu was stunned for a moment. Mr. Ren Wenxiang suddenly hugged Qi Jingxiu and flipped her off the podium. His hands madly grabbed at Qi Jingxiu's clothes. In just a few moments, Qi Jingxiu's clothes were torn, revealing her purple bra. At that moment, he opened his mouth wide and bit down. The entire auditorium seemed to be blown by a gust of cold wind from Siberia. Everyone was frozen stiff and stunned. Save me. Qi Jingxiu screamed and used both hands to support Ren Wenxiang's head. Otherwise, he would peck at her sensitive spot. A few security personnel came back to their senses. They rushed onto the stage and pulled Ren Wenxiang off Qi Jingqiu. Ren Wenxiang was like a wild beast, kicking and biting everywhere. The security personnel had to work together to restrain him. Qi Jingqiu covered her fair breasts and climbed up from a stage. Facing the eyes of all the guests in the auditorium, she suddenly screamed and ran backstage while crying. Just when everyone thought that the farce was over, Su Lang was suddenly hugged by the female guest next to him. The two of them fell to the ground. Su Lang's situation was exactly the same as Ren Wenxiang's. The moment he pounced on the female guest, he reached out and tore her clothes. He also opened his mouth and bit her face, neck, and chest. At this moment, he was worse than a beast. Bastard. The female guest's husband was furious. He grabbed a chair and slapped it on Su Lang's back. The chair broke, but Su Lang didn't stop his invasion. His hand reached under the female guest's skirt, tore the fabric, and pulled it out. Even Charlotte couldn't stand watching this scene. He got up and kicked Su Lang's waist, immediately kicking him off the female guest. Su Lang got up, roared, and was about to pounce on the female guest again. Charlotte rushed forward and blocked the female guest. At the same time, he reached out and grabbed one of Su Lang's arms. With a drag, he tripped Su Lang and immediately fell to the ground. He twisted Su Lang's arm and pressed his knee against Su Lang's spine. Only then was he able to subdue Su Lang. The auditorium was filled with noises of discussion and chatter. Ning Yuanshan strode over, his face full of anger. "What's going on? What's going on?" Chapter 105. Charlotte pulled Su Lang up from the ground, but did not let go of his hand. He said, "I don't know either." Su Jingyi, Hu Ho, and Shin Tianin also came over. Su Jingyi's face was cloudy. He looked at Charlotte and said in a cold voice, "Mr. Xia, what's going on?" Su Jingyi had the keen intuition of a policeman. In fact, it was not only Su Jingyi who suspected that someone was playing tricks. Everyone present had the same suspicion. This was a high-class banquet, and celebrities from all walks of life had come. Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang also had a high social status. How could they do such a thing? Even if they wanted to play with women, they could have gone to a hotel. Why did they choose to do it in the auditorium where everyone was watching? Charlotte said, "I just said that I don't know." Su Jingyi glanced at the 3 glasses on the table that still had some red wine left. He suddenly snorted coldly. "The 3 of you were drinking. If something happened to the 2 of them, you would be fine. How could you not know?" Charlotte was very calm. "Director Su, what do you mean? Are you suspecting me?" At this time, 2 security guards came up and took Su Lang from Charlotte's hands. Ning Yuanshan glared at Charlotte. "Charlotte, I've treated you well. I didn't say anything about you taking away the business of Dongfang Heavy Industry and Shenzhou Industrial Group. I was wrong about you, and I admit it. But how dare you behave atrociously here and do something to Mr. Run and Mr. Su's wine?" The most uncomfortable feeling for people was the feeling of being wronged. A ball of anger ignited in Xia Lei's heart. He was so angry that he started laughing. "Director Ning, Director Su, you came here and indiscriminately accused me of tampering with the wine. Do you understand what happened? Do you have any evidence? Do you dare say that you don't have anything suspicious on you?" Ning Yuanshan was originally dissatisfied with Charlotte for taking away the business of Dongfang Heavy Industry. Now that this happened, he seemed to have found a way to vent his anger. Charlotte sneered. "So, are you sure that I did something to the wine?" Su Jingyi said to a security guard, "Go search him." The security guard nodded, then walked towards Charlotte, ready to search Charlotte's body. "Wait," Shinta Tianin suddenly said. "Mr. Xia is a guest that you invited. It is not appropriate to search his body without any evidence." As soon as Shinta Tianin spoke, the security guard who was about to search Su Jingyi stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at him. Su Jingyi said, "Miss Shintu, isn't it obvious?" Judging from Mr. Ren and Su Lang's reactions, they were drugged with hallucinogenic drugs. Charlotte drank with them, but they got into trouble while Charlotte was fine. Could it be that Su Lang or Mr. Ren were the ones who drugged them? Shinta Tianin frowned. "That's right. How could there be someone who drugged himself? Ning Yuanshan said, Miss Shintu, if Charlotte is innocent, it's not a big deal to have him searched. If he is innocent, I will apologize to him in person. Almost everyone believed that Charlotte had done something to the wine. Many onlookers pointed at Charlotte and whispered. Their eyes were full of contempt and disgust. The scene in front of them was like a beggar in ragged clothes suddenly breaking into an elegant party that belonged to the nobles. Seeing that Shinta Tianin didn't say anything, Su Jingyi said to the security guard who stopped, "Go search him." The security guard walked up to Xia Lei and said sternly, "I'm sorry, I want to search your body." With that, he stretched out his hand towards Xia Lei. Charlotte grabbed his hand and said coldly, "Why do you want to search me? You must have a guilty conscience." Ning Yuanshan pointed at Charlotte. His tone was very stern. At this time, Peaceful finally stepped forward. She looked very nervous. "Second uncle, Charlotte isn't like that. He definitely wouldn't drug the wine." Ning Yuanshan stared at Peaceful. "This has nothing to do with you. What are you talking about?" Peaceful said, "Charlotte wasn't at this table. Ren Wenxiang asked me to invite Charlotte over. I invited Charlotte over to sit. Ren Wenxiang poured wine for Charlotte, and Su Lang poured wine for Ren Wenxiang. Then this happened. I don't know what happened." The female guest who had been violated by Su Lang stepped forward. She angrily said, "This Mr. Xia didn't pour wine for anyone. He drank 3 glasses, and Ren Wenxiang poured wine for him. If he hadn't done something, who knows what this animal would have done?" The animal she was referring to was obviously Su Lang. Su Jingyi's face darkened. He stared at the female guest who had spoken up for Charlotte and said, "Lady, you'd better be polite when you speak." "Polite?" The female guest pointed at Su Lang, who was still being subdued by 2 security guards. She cried and said, "What did he do? Are you blind? Do I need to be polite to such a person? I won't let this go. I'm going to sue him." "You?" Su Jingyi was so angry that he couldn't speak. If this matter got out of hand, Su Lang's future would be over. Charlotte said, "If you want to search me, you can, but it's not fair to search me alone. You have to search Su Lang and Ren Wenxiang as well. Also, there are surveillance cameras here. You can take a look at them." Shinta Tianin said, "I agree." Su Jingyi and Ning Yuanshan didn't say anything after Shinta Tianin said that. Soon, someone went to check the surveillance video. Several security guards also brought Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang, who were unconscious, to Charlotte and asked the 3 parties to be searched. A security guard said to Charlotte, "Please cooperate." Charlotte raised his arms. The security guards quickly searched Charlotte's body. They took out all the things in Charlotte's pockets, including his cell phone and wallet. There was nothing suspicious. No. The security personnel ended the body search on Xia Lei. "Are you sure you didn't?" Su Jingyi was not satisfied with the result. The security guard shook his head and said, "No, I've searched very carefully." Su Jingyi's face darkened again. If Charlotte didn't have anything on him, then Charlotte and Ren Wenxiang might have something suspicious on them. He hesitated. Should he continue searching? Charlotte looked at the security guard and said, "Why are you standing there? We agreed to search them. You searched me, but you didn't search them. What do you mean?" The security guard looked at Su Jingyi again and waited for his instructions. Su Jingyi didn't say anything. The female guest who was violated by Su Lang shouted, "That's right. Why didn't you search them? You must have a guilty conscience." The surrounding guests immediately started jeering. "Search his body. If you want to search them, search them." "Director Su?" Shinta Tianin looked at Su Jingyi with a questioning look in her eyes. Su Jingyi bit the bullet and said, "Search them." The security guard in charge of the body search walked up to Su Lang and searched him. He quickly found Su Lang's belongings, including his cell phone, wallet, and 2 condoms. "Why is that kid carrying that kind of thing on his back?" A guest said, "I heard that the kid is a police officer, and his rank is quite high. Even police officers carry that kind of thing with them. Are they ready to handle cases at any time?" Someone teased, "I really don't know how such a person became a police officer." "It's embarrassing," someone said. These discussions made Su Jingyi feel very awkward. After the security officer finished searching Su Lang, he said, No. Su Jingyi finally let out a sigh of relief. Search Ren Wenxiang again. The security guard searched Ren Wenxiang's body. Ning Yuanshan said, the result is the same whether you search him or not. I believe that Mr. Ren is definitely not that kind of person. As he spoke, he looked at Peaceful. He definitely had to speak up for Ren Wenxiang, because Ren Wenxiang had contributed a lot to Dongfang Heavy Industry winning the contract with the Wanxiang Group. More importantly, Ren Wenxiang was the Ning family's son-in-law. As the second uncle, of course, he had to speak up for his future son-in-law. However, just as Ning Yuanshan spoke, the security guard found a small glass bottle in Ren Wenxiang's pocket. There was still about 1/3 of a brown liquid left in it. There were Indian characters on the bottle, as well as a picture of a man and a woman intertwining. Without a professional test, an experienced person would be able to tell what it was used for at a glance. As soon as the Indian magic oil that Ren Wenxiang had hidden on his body was revealed, the surrounding guests suddenly went into an uproar. Isn't that the super Indian magic oil that has been popular recently? There's an introduction on the internet. I've seen it before. Its effect is more powerful than hallucinogens. Whether it's a man or a woman, as long as they drink a little, they will go in a heat. It's hard to control, a man in the crowd said. When someone looked in the direction of the voice, he closed his mouth and pretended that it wasn't him who had said it. At that moment, Ning Yuanshan suddenly pointed at Charlotte and said, Charlotte, you must have drugged it and then put on Mr. Ren's body, right? Charlotte was angry and said angrily, Ning Yuanshan, watch what you're saying. I'm polite to you because I respect you as an elder, but don't be so shameless. It's fine that you framed me just now, but the thing was found on Ren Wenxiang's body, and you're trying to confuse black and white? Are you blind? You. Ning Yuanshan pointed at Charlotte's nose and was too angry to speak. No one had ever dared to talk to him like this. Charlotte was the first, and in front of so many celebrities. Su Jingyi interrupted and said, the thing was found on Ren Wenxiang's body, but he wouldn't be stupid enough to drug himself. But you're fine, right? The crowd of onlookers began to talk again, and there were all kinds of comments. Indeed, no one would drug themselves like this, especially in such an occasion. Charlotte said, you can check the fingerprint on the bottle. There are absolutely no fingerprints on it. Also, didn't someone go to check the surveillance video? Where is the surveillance video? At that moment, one of Shinta Tianin's bodyguards came over with a laptop. Senior, I've made a copy of the surveillance video. Take a look. The bodyguard woke up the laptop and held it with both hands, waiting for Shinta Tianin to take a look. Shinta Tianin moved in front of the screen, and so did Su Jingyi and Ning Yuanshan. In the video, Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang whispered to each other, and the two of them looked in the direction of Charlotte. Then, Ren Wenxiang said something to Peaceful, and Peaceful got up and walked in the direction of Charlotte. Ren Wenxiang took out a small bottle from his pocket and drugged a bottle of red wine. The truth was revealed. How is this possible? Ning Yuanshan's old face turned red. Su Jingyi couldn't understand why Ren Wenxiang drugged the wine, but Su Lang and Ren Wenxiang drank the drugged wine, and Charlotte was fine. The video continued to play. Peaceful brought Charlotte to this table, and Ren Wenxiang invited Charlotte to take a seat. After a few words, Charlotte took out his phone to make a call, but the phone fell to the ground. After Charlotte picked up the phone, Ren Wenxiang poured a glass of wine for Charlotte. After Charlotte drank the wine, he went to get the bottle for Ren Wenxiang, but Ren Wenxiang didn't give him the bottle. At that moment, Su Lang took the initiative to pour the wine for Ren Wenxiang, and then poured the wine for himself. The three of them chatted for a while, then raised their glasses and drank together. There was no sound in the video, but throughout the whole process, Charlotte didn't even touch the bottle. As long as one wasn't blind, they could see that he was innocent. On the contrary, Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang had schemed against Charlotte from the beginning, and they had drugged the wine in advance. You? Su Jingyi stared at Charlotte, his face full of anger. You knew beforehand. You pretended to pick up the phone and took the opportunity to switch the wine. Isn't that right? Charlotte looked like he had just realized something. He smiled and said, Oh, I'm sorry. I remember now. When I was picking up the phone, I accidentally touched a bottle of wine. Luckily, I was fast and I caught it in time, so it didn't break. Then I put the bottle of wine away. I didn't expect. I must have put it in the wrong place, right? You really knew beforehand. Su Jingyi angrily shouted. Why didn't you stop them? Charlotte reached out his hands toward Su Jingyi. I'm sorry, Chief Su. I was wrong. I didn't know what they wanted to do. I just accidentally touched a bottle of wine. If what I did is illegal, then you can arrest me. You. Su Jingyi was so angry that he couldn't speak. Charlotte continued. I really didn't know that they drugged the wine. If I had known, I would have drunk all the wine they drugged. It's not a big deal for me to make a fool of myself, but your nephew's future is more important, right? He then looked at Ning Yuanshan and said, and you, Director Ning, Ren Wenxiang is your future niece and son-in-law. He is also a senior executive of the Wanxiang Group. His future and face are far more important than a small figure like me. If you had told me in advance, even if it was just a hint, as long as I knew that they drugged me, I would have drunk the medicine directly. How could things have become so embarrassing now? Su Jingyi and Ning Yuanshan were speechless. Their faces were as gloomy as rain clouds. You guys have a good celebration. It seems that this kind of occasion is not suitable for me. I also don't want to attend a banquet with a wretch who drugged people. With that, Charlotte turned around and left. Shinta Tianin looked at Charlotte's back, and a smile quietly appeared at the corner of his mouth, like the first melting of ice and snow. Chapter 106. Walking out of the auditorium, Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. He didn't care how this matter would end, but thinking about Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang making a fool of themselves in front of everyone, he couldn't help but feel happy. He didn't feel any sympathy for Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang at all. If he hadn't used lip reading to read their conversation and seen through his X-ray vision that Ren Wenxiang had drugged the wine, he would have been the one to embarrass himself tonight. At that time, Su Jingyi and Ning Yuanshan wouldn't have sought justice for him, nor would they have searched Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang. Shinta Tianin will most likely deal with Ren Wenxiang. This has made her lose face. Once Ren Wenxiang is no longer working at Wanxiang, will Peaceful's parents still see him as a rich husband? I hope Peaceful can seize this opportunity to get rid of Ren Wenxiang. Thinking of Peaceful, Charlotte's heart was filled with melancholy. Charlotte. A man's voice came from behind. Charlotte turned around and saw Mayor Hu Ho. He turned around and asked, Mayor Hu, why did you come out? Hu Ho patted Charlotte's shoulder. Don't take what happened tonight to heart. I came out because I want to talk to you and enlighten you. Charlotte smiled and said, Thank you, Mayor Hu. I'm fine. Hu Ho said, This afternoon, I asked Ning Yuanshan to send you an invitation to the banquet. I wanted to introduce you to some business friends after the banquet, but I didn't think something like this would happen. You didn't make any friends, but you have two opponents. Charlotte now understood that Ning Yuanshan hadn't planned on inviting him. It was Hu Ho who had spoken up, and Qi Jingxiu had reluctantly sent him an invitation. This explained why Qi Jingxiu had driven to Lima Manufacturing Company to invite him when the banquet was about to begin. Mayor Hu, the two opponents you mentioned are Su Jingyi and Ning Yuanshan, right? Charlotte asked. Hu Ho smiled bitterly. Isn't that so? Su Jingyi is a government official. I can't say. Charlotte said. Ning Yuanshan has been an opponent for a long time. In the past, Shenzhou Industrial Group cooperated with Dongfang Heavy Industry, but now Shenzhou Industrial Group cooperates with me. He has long regarded me as a thorn in his side. Even if what happened tonight didn't happen, he wouldn't treat me as a friend. Hu Ho was silent for a moment before saying, Do you want to talk to him? I can act as a go-between for you, and when the time comes, I'll put in a few words for you. One of you is the boss of a large state-owned enterprise, and the other is a rising entrepreneur that I have high hopes for. Dongfang Heavy Industry and Lima Manufacturing Company are also enterprises in Haizhu City. I don't want to see you fight among yourselves. This seemed to be the reason why Hu Ho chased after him to talk to him. Lima Manufacturing Company was a small factory that had just been built, while Dongfang Heavy Industry was a large state-owned enterprise in Haizhu City. Lima Manufacturing Company was not even qualified to be an opponent of Dongfeng Heavy Industry at present. However, what Hu Ho valued was the future of Lima Manufacturing Company and the relationship between Charlotte and Shenzhou Industrial Group. From his point of view, he certainly didn't want to see Ning Yuanshan create obstacles on the road of Lima Manufacturing Company's development. Hu Ho was really kind, and he was definitely a very good mayor. Mayor Hu, I understand your painstaking efforts, and I also thank you for your kindness. Charlotte said, but even if I go with you, Ning Yuanshan won't talk to me. If you play the matchmaker, he may give you face, but it won't work. And I'm not interested in talking to him. He can do whatever he wants. He goes on his broad road, and I go on my single log bridge. Although my road is difficult, I will definitely reach the end. Hu Ho sighed, but there was a smile on his face. Well, since you don't want to, then forget it. I actually think so, but forget it, you can go back. Charlotte shook hands with Hu Ho and said, goodbye, Mayor Hu. Hu Ho said, do a good job. I believe you will make Lima Manufacturing Company bigger and stronger. At that time, Haizhu City will have another star enterprise. Charlotte smiled and said, I will work hard. If you have any difficulties, come to me. I will help you if I can. Well, thank you, Mayor Hu. Goodbye. After saying goodbye to Hu Ho, Charlotte walked to the parking lot. When he walked to the parking lot, Charlotte suddenly remembered that he had come in Qi Jingxiu's car, and his car had been driven away by Liang Xiao. But when he took out his mobile phone and wanted to call Liang Xiao to pick him up, a BMW in the parking lot suddenly rolled down its window. Qi Jingxiu stuck her head out of the window and smiled at him. Why are you still standing? Get in the car. I'll take you back, Qi Jingxiu said. Looking at the bright smile on Qi Jingxiu's face, Charlotte had to admire this woman's thick skin and strong heart. Just now, she was thrown to the ground by Ren Wenxiang in the auditorium. Ren Wenxiang pressed on her and molested her. He tore her clothes and exposed her bra, but now she was so natural and calm, as if nothing had happened at all. Charlotte walked over and got in the car. If you drive me, aren't you afraid that Ning Yuanshan will make things difficult for you if he finds out? He's just a muddle-headed old man. Why should I worry about him? Qi Jingxiu started the engine and said, I really don't understand. Why would he fall for someone like Ren Wenxiang? If it were me, I would definitely think highly of you and marry his precious niece to you. Charlotte frowned and said, you still have the mood to joke at this time. Qi Jingxiu put away her smile and said seriously, in fact, Ning Yuanshan is not targeting you entirely because you stole the business of Dongfeng Heavy Industry. Is there another reason? You still lack experience. Qi Jingxiu said, Dongfeng Heavy Industry is a state-owned enterprise. 1 or 2 business deals are not important to him at all. What's important is the relationship. He is interested in the relationship with Shenzhou Industry Group. The people in that company are all senior officers, especially that Mu Jianfeng, who is a figure the highest level. Think about it. If you cut off this relationship with him, will he still be nice to you? Charlotte smiled bitterly. He really hadn't thought about this. The car drove out of the parking lot. Through the window, Charlotte saw Ningjing standing at the entrance of the auditorium. She was looking around, looking for someone. He seems to be looking for you. Do you want to stop? Qi Jingxiu teased. Charlotte hesitated for a moment and said, forget it. Let's go. Qi Jingxiu drove the BMW out of Dongfeng Heavy Industry. Ningjing was still standing at the entrance of the auditorium, looking around. She's not suitable for you. Qi Jingxiu giggled and said, I'm the most suitable woman for you. Are you interested in reconciling with me? Charlotte said, I've never been with you. How can I reconcile with you? You chased me, but unfortunately, you didn't get me. I'll give you another chance now. As long as you're willing, I'll divorce you immediately. Then, I'll resign from Dongfeng Heavy Industry and go to work at your Lima Manufacturing Company. If we work together, our future will be bright. Qi Jingxiu didn't seem to be joking. Charlotte said faintly, drive your car. There was a flash of hatred in Qi Jingxiu's eyes, but there was a charming smile at the corner of her mouth. I'm joking with you. I don't like you. The BMW ran on the streets of the city. The lights outside the window were bright. It was a prosperous scene. Charlotte grew up in this city, but at this time, he had a strange feeling. He remembered the days when he carried bricks and welded at the construction site. At that time, if he stood in front of Qi Jingxiu, she wouldn't even look at him. He was able to tell the difference between true feelings and hypocrisy. That was the reason why there was only business between him and Qi Jingxiu. There was no love between them. Charlotte wanted Qi Jingxiu to send him to Liang Xiao's house, but he gave up the idea after thinking about it. Qi Jingxiu didn't ask where he was going. She drove him directly to the community where he lived. She drove very fast the whole way. She was rushing back to Dongfang Heavy Industry to attend the dance after the dinner party. Charlotte got out of the car at the gate of the community. He patted the door and said, "Thank you. Aren't you going to invite me up?" Qi Jingxiu said with a smile. Charlotte said, "Don't pretend. Even if I invite you, you won't go. Go back quickly. You should be with Ning Yuanshan at this time." Qi Jingxiu took a file from the back seat and handed it to Charlotte through the window. "Take a look. If you can do it, call me. If this business is successful, we can all make a lot of money." Charlotte held the file that Qi Jingxiu gave him. It was a little heavy, but he didn't look at it. He just nodded and said, "I'll take a closer look. Wait for my call. Goodbye." Qi Jingxiu drove away. Charlotte turned around and entered the community. On the way, he opened the file and took out the information inside to check. There were more than 20 pieces of A4 paper in the file. Each piece of paper had the drawings and various parameters of the parts that needed to be processed. The requirements were very high, and they were all ultra-precision parts. Charlotte looked at all the drawings, but he didn't find the content that introduced the use of these parts. He suddenly had a trace of doubt in his heart. The requirements of these ultra-precision parts are almost the same as the parts that Shenzhou Industry Group wants me to process. How could Qi Jingxiu get this kind of business? What are these parts used for? Back home, Charlotte carefully looked at each drawing again, but in the end, he still couldn't guess the use of these parts. He pondered for a while, and finally took out his mobile phone to make a phone call. "Brother, I'm doing a facial mask. Can't you call me later if you have something to say?" Qin Xiang's enchanting voice came from the phone. Charlotte said, "I want to ask you for help with something. Don't be polite with me. Tell me, what's the matter?" Qi Jingxiu has a business. She gave me the drawings, and I feel something is wrong. Charlotte briefly explained the matter. "What do you want to do?" "I want you to keep an eye on her and see who she's in contact with. If you wanted to follow her, just say it. Why do I have to keep an eye on her?" "Okay, no problem. You can send me a text message and tell me her address. I'll do a facial mask before I go to work. What else do you want to say? If not, I'll hang up. Facial masks are very expensive." Qin Xiang really hung up the phone. Charlotte. Chapter 107. Ren Wenxiang was kicked out of the Wanxiang Corporation, and Su Lang was also given a disciplinary sanction. This result was a heavy blow to both Su Lang and Ren Wenxiang. With an administrative sanction on his back, Su Lang's future path of advancement was practically blocked. Ren Wenxiang was kicked out of the Wanxiang group, and he lost everything he was proud of. If they didn't want to mess with Charlotte, Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang would have a bright future, and they wouldn't be in such a bad situation today. Why bother? There was an old saying that went, "If heaven does evil, you can do it, but if you do evil, you can't live." This sentence was perfect for Ren Wenxiang and Su Lang. This matter didn't affect Charlotte much. He went to work and got off work as usual. During working hours, he dealt with the company's affairs. After work, he followed Liang Xiao to her house to learn Wing Chun. He also thought about how to get Lima Manufacturing Company to get rid of the role of processing for others in research and create a patented product that belonged to Lima Manufacturing Company, but the progress was negligible. No matter how hard he tried, he always stayed at the level of conception, and it was difficult to go further. On the other hand, Charlotte didn't immediately reply to Qi Jingxiu. Qi Jingxiu called him several times to ask him how he was thinking, but he wasn't in a hurry. The only thing that made him happy was that the supermarket plan was going well. Qin Xiang used the supplier's information to get a grasp of other supermarkets' purchase channels, prices, and settlement methods. After contacting and negotiating There were already several suppliers willing to sign long-term cooperation contracts. Those suppliers also said that the initial payment wasn't a problem, and they could settle the bill after a month. They also wanted to use this method to establish a good long-term cooperation relationship with Lima Manufacturing Company. Qin Xiang contacted the suppliers and negotiated with them. Charlotte signed a contract and stamped it. The renovation workers also came and started the renovation in full swing. They installed the elevator, laid the floor tiles, installed the lights and surveillance, and so on. Lima Manufacturing Company was indeed short of money to purchase goods, but they could still afford to renovate a supermarket. The renovation of a supermarket was not complicated. It was fine as long as it was clean and tidy. In fact, it did not cost much money or time. As soon as the floor tiles were laid and the roof was completed, all the suppliers rushed to occupy the best spots in the supermarket. Some special products even came with their own containers and salesmen to provide the best service. Just like that, Charlotte was so busy that he almost forgot about Qi Jingqiu's order. Half a month later. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter-patter. A string of 100,000 firecrackers exploded on the sidewalk, filling the air with smoke and confetti. The Maisie May supermarket belonging to Lima Manufacturing Company was born. There were no special guests, only people from various suppliers in Lima Manufacturing Company, but the scene was very lively. Because the supermarket had not officially opened, the entrance was crowded with customers waiting to go in to shop. These customers were residents of the nearby community. There were hundreds of them. They all came for the opening discount of all goods by 20%. Mimi Supermarket's 20% discount was a genuine 20% discount. Take Mingyo's Trensa milk as an example. Other stores were selling it for 60 yuan, but Mimi Supermarket was selling it for only 48 yuan. A milk could save 12 yuan. Who wouldn't be willing to shop here? It should be known that the people who often shopped in the supermarket were not young people, but the uncles and aunties who were willing to walk an extra mile to save 20 cents. With their first shopping experience, they knew that the items in Maisie May Supermarket were cheaper than others. They would become long-term customers here. Maisie May Supermarket did not have to pay for the space, so no supermarket could compete with it in price. Therefore, from the moment it opened, it was destined to replace the surrounding supermarkets and become the most popular supermarket in this area. After the ribbon-cutting ceremony, the supermarket staff opened the entrance. Hundreds of customers rushed in, and the scene was very lively. Looking at this happy scene, a smile also appeared on Charlotte's face. Everything is good, but I think the name of Maisie May Supermarket, Qin Xiang interrupted Charlotte's words. He rolled his eyes at Charlotte and said, "Didn't you ask me to take full responsibility? I like this name, and I want this name." Charlotte smiled and said, "I didn't say that the name is bad. It just reminds me of your hair salon." Qin Xiang looked at the signboard at the entrance of the supermarket and looked a little sad. "This name is a commemoration of my hair salon. It represents my past. If it weren't for Charlotte's appearance, he would still be living under Huang Yihu's control, and his mother wouldn't have the money to do chemotherapy. Those days were very bad, but no matter how bad they were, it was his past. It was a part of his life, and it couldn't be cut off." "Is Annie's condition better?" Charlotte asked. Qin Xiang said, "The first course of treatment has been completed, and the situation is good. The doctor said that once her tumor is smaller, she can be removed." Charlotte smiled and said, "That's good. Spend more time with Annie when you are free." "Okay." Qin Xiang suddenly thought of something. "By the way, there is progress on the thing you asked me to do." Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. "Are you talking about Qi Jingqiu?" Qin Xiang nodded. "These days, I asked Lon to help me keep an eye on her during the day, and I'll do it myself at night. She was normal before last night. She went to work and went shopping, and she occasionally went on dates with other men at night. But last night, she drove to a place. Do you know where she went?" Charlotte shook his head. "I don't know. Just tell me." Qin Xiang said, "She went to the Great Ensemble." Xiaolei was stunned for a moment. The Great Ensemble was the Gu family's business. Why would Qi Jingqiu go to the Great Ensemble at this time? She was very careful when she went there, and the time she chose was 10 o'clock at night. Qin Xiang said, "This is not normal." Charlotte said, "Did you find anything else?" Qin Xiang shrugged. "You know what kind of place the Great Ensemble is." After she drove in, I didn't dare to follow her in. I can't find out who she met and what she talked about in the Great Ensemble. The Gu family was a family that started from the underworld. They were strong and strict, which was not something that people like Huang Yihu could compare with. If the Gu family could make Huang Yihu hang himself for no apparent reason, then they could also make an infiltrator disappear for no apparent reason. After a moment of silence, Charlotte said, "You did the right thing. Don't enter the Gu family's place rashly. This matter ends here. You don't have to follow Qi Jingxiu anymore." Qin Xiang said with some worry, "Qi Jingxiu is very insidious. You should be careful. I suggest you don't cooperate with her. The supermarket has opened, and it's not a problem to earn millions a year. This money can be used to buy insurance and give bonuses to the workers. Do you understand what I mean? Don't work too hard." "I know. I will handle this matter properly. Go and do your thing." Charlotte was still thinking about Qi Jingxiu going to the Great Ensemble. He didn't know why, but he vaguely smelled a trace of danger. "Okay, I'm going. I'll give it back to you." "What?" He saw a wallet appear in Qin Xiang's hand like a magic trick. Charlotte saw it clearly. It was actually his wallet. "If you want to learn, I can teach you." Qin Xiang put the wallet in Charlotte's hand and walked away. Charlotte shook his head with a wry smile. How did he think of teaching me how to steal? Do I need to learn such a method? Really? When he returned to the office, Liang Xiao was not in the office. Charlotte sat at his desk and took out the information Qi Jingxiu gave him. He thought for a while and finally took out his mobile phone to call Long Bing. "Miss Long, there's something, bang, bang, bang." 3 gunshots suddenly came from the phone. Charlotte was shocked and said anxiously, "What happened? Are you okay?" At this time, Long Bing's voice came from the phone. "I'm fine. I'm shooting at the shooting range." Xia Lei heaved a sigh of relief. "You seem to be worried about me," Long Bing said with a smile. "Tell me, what's the matter?" Charlotte said, "Do you know a woman called Qi Jingxiu?" "Yes, she is the secretary of Ning Yuanshan, the chairman of Dongfang Heavy Industry." "Why do you ask me this?" "It's like this. Half a month ago, she came to me and said that she wanted to work with me. Then she gave me." Xia Lei told the whole story and finally said, "The parts she wanted me to work on were all ultra-precision parts. I don't know what they're used for. In addition, my friend found out that she went to the Gu family's Great Ensemble last night. I'm worried that there's something wrong with this matter. Can you help me find out what the parts she wants me to work on are for?" Long Bing was silent for a moment and then said, "What are you worried about?" Charlotte said, "I'm worried that these parts are used for the same purpose as the Shenzhou Industry Group, which is for military purposes. In this case, I have to find out who they are for. Otherwise, I won't even know what's going on." Military purposes. If it was for China's military units, it didn't matter. What was terrible was that it was not China's military units. At that time, he would be accused of treason. Even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Long Bing said in a low voice, "Can you send me a copy of the information of the parts she asked you to process? Can I take a picture and send it to your mobile email?" Charlotte said. Long Bing thought for a moment and said, "No, you'd better send it to me personally." "Ah." Charlotte was surprised and said, "Send it to you personally?" Long Bing said, "If it's a foreign force, maybe your mobile phone has been monitored. If you send the information to me, it may be intercepted. If you send it to me personally, I'll send someone to pick you up now. You don't have to worry about the plane ticket." This, Charlotte regretted calling her. The company had just started operating, and the supermarket had just opened. At this critical moment, he, the boss, had gone to the capital. Who was in charge here? Don't think about it. This is not a small matter. You know what I mean. Long Bing's tone was very strict. Charlotte sighed. "Well, I'll wait for your people in the office." After ending the call, Liang Xiao came in from the door. She was carrying 2 big shopping bags in her hands, which were filled with vegetables and meat and a lot of seasonings. She was a foodie. "It's so cheap. I wanted to buy more, but I can't carry it. I wanted to call Li to help me in the supermarket just now." Liang Xiao looked very happy. "Why did you buy so many vegetables?" "I bought them for you to cook." Liang Xiao said with a smile. My dad and I like your cooking. Come home with me today and cook a feast. Haha, just thinking about it makes me so happy. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I'm afraid I can't do it today. Long Bing asked me to go to the capital. I was just about to tell you that I'll have to trouble you to take care of the company while I'm away. What are you going to the capital for? You know about Qi Jingqiu's order. I suspect there's a problem. I just called Long Bing. She said it was very serious and asked me to send the information over. Charlotte briefly explained what had happened. Liang Xiao sighed gloomily. I'm so unlucky. I bought so many vegetables. If my dad asks me to cook, I'll be driven to death. After a pause, she suddenly said, No, I'll call Qin Xiang now and ask him to refund me. Charlotte. Chapter 108. The person who came to pick up Charlotte was Ku Jie. He was 27 or 28 years old. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a burly figure. At a glance, it could be seen that he was a professional soldier or a special forces soldier. He wasn't an ordinary person. Ku Jie drove a Hongqi sedan and sent Charlotte directly to the airport. Then he accompanied Charlotte directly to the nearest flight to Kyoto. During the whole process, Ku Jie and Charlotte only said 3 sentences. The first sentence, I was sent by Long Bing. The second sentence, my name is Ku Jie. The third sentence, let's go. Long Bing gave people a feeling of being indifferent like a 10,000-year-old iceberg. Even her men were reticent and cherished their words like gold. After the plane took off, Charlotte's heart gradually settled down. He wasn't willing to go to Kyoto before, but he felt that it was good to take this opportunity to go to Kyoto University to see his sister, Xia Shui. Anyway, he didn't have to pay for the plane ticket. It was a free trip. Mr. Ku, that, Charlotte said tentatively. Where will you take me? Ku Jie glanced at Charlotte. I haven't received any instructions yet. I think Chief Long will pick you up at the airport. Chief Long. This was the first time that Charlotte heard someone call Long Bing's position this way. He was shocked. What kind of chief is she? Ku Jie closed his mouth. Xia Lei purposely tried to curry favor with him. Talk to me. I won't tell her anything you say to me. Ku Jie said. Chief Long told me that you will definitely ask her what she does. She said that at that time, I will shut my mouth. I am now executing her orders. Please don't ask anymore. Charlotte was snubbed and closed his mouth. He secretly said in his heart, to be called a chief, her position must not be low. What's more, she also made Jiang Rui the bureau chief. But what kind of chief is she? It wasn't difficult to guess the answer to this question, because when the position in the army reached a certain level, ordinary soldiers would be called chief. With Long Bing's age, it was impossible for her to get a high position in politics, so she could only be in the military. Her character and her style were also proof. She was a professional soldier. Is she a general? Like a major general or something? Thinking of this, Charlotte couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. Even if I guessed her identity, it's useless. Why should I waste my brain cells? You might as well think about the product. Charlotte had thought more than 100 times about what products Lima Manufacturing Company would produce. He had also come up with many ideas. For example, the production of fitness equipment, but these products were difficult to sell without the relationship of the sports bureau. For example, the production of hardware parts such as screws and nuts, but if they did not use inferior materials, they would not be able to compete with others, and this market had always been in a state of saturation. For example, the production of medical equipment, but such products were difficult to sell without giving rebates to hospitals. No matter what idea he had, it would not work. Charlotte's gaze landed on the closed-circuit television in the cabin. There was an advertisement playing on it. The lake was surrounded by green mountains, the birds were flying, and there were people riding surfboards on the lake, riding the wind and breaking the waves. There was an advertising slogan on the screen. Qin Automatic Surfboard brings you a better life. The North Corporation is dedicated to you. Charlotte was stunned. He could tell at a glance that it was Liu Ying's patent. Gu Qin had snatched Liu Ying's patent, and the North Corporation on the screen was the Gu family's corporation. Its market value was second only to the Shun two family clan's Wanxiang Corporation. It was also a behemoth. If not for Gu Qian's brutal robbery, Luing would not have gone to Australia. He would also have owned 20% of Yedong Sports shares and share in the profits from this novel product. But now, Gu Qian had robbed all of this in a robbing manner. After the automatic surfboard advertisement ended, the next advertisement played. Charlotte's mind could not help but recall the patent design of the automatic surfboard that he had seen previously. The blueprints were clearly entered into his brain through his left eye. He could recall every detail, even a punctuation mark. In fact, with Lima Manufacturing Company's ability, it was entirely possible for them to produce the automatic surfboard themselves, but to do so would violate the patent law. Once they were sued by the North Corporation, just a fine would cause the newly sprouted Lima Manufacturing Company to die young. Hence, even if the automatic surfboard could bring in huge profits, Charlotte did not dare to rashly produce it. In the evening, the plane landed at the Capital International Airport. Charlotte followed Ku Jie out of the arrival hall. After waiting by the roadside for a few minutes, a military off-road vehicle without a license plate stopped in front of them. Sitting in the driver's seat was Long Bing. Even when she saw Charlotte, her face did not show any expression. Ku Jie stood at attention to Long Bing, but did not salute. Long Bing said, "Go back to Haizhu City. There's nothing for you to do here." Yes. With such a simple word, Ku Jie turned around and walked to the airport hall. Charlotte opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. He said, "In fact, you could have asked Ku Jie to bring you the information. Why did you have to make a trip?" Long Bing glanced at Charlotte. "There are two reasons. First, someone wants to see you. Second, I need your help." Charlotte was stunned for a moment. "So, my business is not the most important," Long Bing said lightly. "I'm not sure yet. Give me the information, and I'll ask an expert to analyze it before I can tell you the result. Also, I've already asked someone to monitor Qi Jingqiu. I'll let you know immediately if anything happens." "That's more like it." Charlotte asked, "Who wants to see me? What do you want me to do for you?" Long Bing said, "Now is not the time to talk about this. Let's go to my house first." "Go to your house." Charlotte didn't expect such an arrangement. Long Bing lit the fire and drove away. She obviously didn't intend to answer this question. There were tall buildings outside the car window, and the vehicles on the road were constantly shuttling. The prosperity of the capital was far above Haizhu City. Charlotte, who was here for the first time, felt a little strange. But the scenery of the city was nothing more than high-rise buildings. After a few minutes, he felt bored. He took out his mobile phone and was about to call Xia Shui. But then he thought that Xia Shui might be in class. If he called her, he might disturb her class. So he sent her a text message. "Little Shui, I've arrived in the capital. I will temporarily stay at Long Bing's house. When is it convenient for you to call me back? Take me around the capital." Since he had come to the capital, he must get together with his sister. "Are you sending a text message to Xia Shui?" Long Bing broke the silence between the two. Charlotte said, "Well, I want to see her. How do you feel when you come to the capital for the first time?" "Well, the road is very blocked, and the air is very bad," Charlotte said. "Huh." Long Bing suddenly laughed. "What are you laughing at?" "Nothing." Long Bing closed her mouth again, and her smile disappeared. Charlotte looked at her. "In fact, you look good when you laugh. Why do you always have a long face?" Long Bing also looked at Charlotte. "Someone said the same thing to me yesterday." Charlotte smiled. "Who said that to you?" "It seems to be a senior executive of a foreign company. He is very young, very handsome, and his education is frighteningly high." Long Bing said. He. Charlotte laughed out loud. "He must be interested in you when he said that. What's your reaction?" Long Bing looked at Charlotte again. "Saying that it means that a man is interested in a woman?" Charlotte realized that he had also calculated himself. He smiled awkwardly. "That, I could definitely mean it. We're good friends. I said that to you for your own good." Long Bing looked away and said faintly, "Do you really want to know my reaction?" "Of course, what's your reaction?" Long Bing said, I gave him a punch, and then he squatted on the ground for 5 minutes. Charlotte, Her sexiness and her beauty were beyond doubt. But could she get married like this? Charlotte was deeply worried about this. The text message ringtone suddenly rang. Xia Shui replied, "Brother, I miss you so much. I know where Long Jie's home is. I have been there. Tomorrow is the weekend. I will come to find you. I will take you to the capital." Charlotte then sent a new text. "Okay, see you tomorrow." Half an hour later, Long Bing drove the off-road military vehicle into an inconspicuous community. There were no towering apartment buildings in the community, nor were there apartment buildings that were more than 5 stories high. They were all single-family villas. These villas were not built now. Some were old and looked like they were built in the 40s or 50s. There was a small garden in front of each household. There were also many flowers and plants planted in it. It looked very elegant. This community was like a small village, with a peace that was completely different from the city. Charlotte secretly said in his heart, "Such a community, such a house, in a place like the capital, where every inch of land is expensive, I'm afraid you can't buy it even if you have money, right?" Walking along a path covered by trees, they met several old men and old women along the way. They all greeted Long Bing and quietly looked at Charlotte. Their eyes were very strange. When they came to a villa numbered 17, Long Bing said, "We are here. This is my home." This building was 2 stories high, with green tiles and red bricks. There were many roses planted in the small garden in front of the door. There were red, pink, white, and purple roses. It had a different taste of flowers. "You must like roses very much," Charlotte said with a smile. "I really can't tell that you are actually a very romantic woman." Long Bing stared at Charlotte. "This was planted by my mother." "Your mother? Annie also lives here?" Charlotte suddenly felt strange. If he knew this was the case, he wouldn't have come to Long Bing's home no matter what. There was no other reason. It was always bad behavior to live in someone's home when they met for the first time. Long Bing was silent for a moment, and her expression was a little sad. "She and my father died on the battlefield." "I'm sorry." Charlotte was embarrassed. "I didn't know. It doesn't matter. Come in with me." Long Bing walked to the door. Charlotte also followed her to the door. At this time, an old man next door came out with a birdcage. When he saw Long Bing leading Charlotte, his face suddenly showed a smile. He said with a Beijing accent, "Miss, is this your boyfriend? It's the first time we've met. Come to my house for dinner later. I'll cook for you." Long Bing looked at the old man. "Uncle Chun, he is my colleague, not my boyfriend." Charlotte also nodded and smiled at the old man awkwardly as a greeting. But before he could say anything, Long Bing pulled him into the door. The old man, whose surname was Chun, touched his bald head and smiled. "This is the first time I've seen her bring a man home. Colleague? Only a ghost would believe you." Chapter 109. The furnishings in Long Bing's home were very simple. Most of the furniture and decorations were old, giving off a nostalgic feeling. In her home, Charlotte felt like he had entered the home of an old cadre in a TV drama. "These things were left behind by my parents. I haven't touched them all these years," Long Bing said. Charlotte saw a family photo on the TV cabinet. A man in a military uniform and a woman in a military uniform were together, and there was a chubby little girl between them. Without a doubt, the little girl in the photo was the current Long Bing. Charlotte was a little curious and thought to himself, "Long Bing looks like she's only 24 or 25 years old. She also looks like she's 4 or 5 years old in the photo." At that time, her parents were still alive. There hasn't been any war in the past 20 years, so how could her parents have died? Could it be that her parents were in the same profession as her, secret agents or spies? He wanted to ask, but he didn't say it. "I'll go prepare a guest room for you," Long Bing said. "You go and cook." "Huh?" Charlotte didn't expect Long Bing to ask him to cook in the kitchen the first time he came to her house. Long Bing patted his shoulder. "I've seen your cooking skills. There'll be a guest coming later, and you'll be able to use your skills." "The guest you're talking about is the person who wants to see me?" Charlotte asked tentatively. "Can you tell me who he is?" "No, go and cook. There are vegetables and meat in the fridge." Without waiting for Charlotte to say anything, Long Bing had already turned and walked upstairs. Charlotte shrugged gloomily and walked to the kitchen. He mumbled, "Who does she think I am? A royal chef or a servant of the queen?" Seriously, Charlotte was cooking in the kitchen. After cleaning up the guest room, Long Bing returned to the living room. She flipped through the information that Qi Jingxiu had given to Charlotte. Then, she took a photo, made a phone call, and sent it to someone. When she had nothing to do, she simply watched TV and had no intention of going to the kitchen to help Charlotte. Needless to say, Charlotte felt that she was becoming more and more like an arrogant queen. An hour later, Charlotte had stir-fried several dishes. Mapo tofu, chopped chili beef, poached pork, shredded pork with soy sauce, and tomato egg soup. These dishes were all Sichuan dishes, not northern dishes. But he did it on purpose. Who asked her to sit there and watch TV without helping? When Charlotte placed the last bowl of tomato egg soup on the table, the doorbell rang. Long Bing got up to open the door, and a tall and sturdy old man entered. His appearance reminded Charlotte of the golden mane Lion King Xie Sun in the wuxia TV series. Because his eyebrows were slanted upwards, his face gave off a sense of dignity. The only difference was that his hair was short, not like Xie Sun's blonde hair. Charlotte had been under Liang Zhongchuan's tutelage for some time. Practicing the secret technique passed down by Yin Yongchun, he also had a certain level of achievement. Therefore, he was very sensitive to some things related to martial arts. And as soon as this old man entered the door, he felt something related to martial arts. This old man had the same aura of a martial arts master as Liang Zhongchun. Who is he? Charlotte couldn't help but guess in his heart, and his heart was also a little nervous. "Miss, this is the Charlotte that you always talk about, right?" As soon as he entered the door, the old man glanced at Charlotte and said generously. These words were not polite at all, but coming from the mouth of an old man like him, it gave people a feeling of should. Long Bing seemed to be in awe of this old man. She nodded her head. "Well, yes, he is the Charlotte that I mentioned to you." Then she said to Charlotte, "Come here, let me introduce you. This is Sher Boren, Sher Lao." Charlotte quickly took off his apron and walked over, and said in an honorific manner, "Hello, Sher Lao." When he arrived in front of Sher Boren, he took the initiative to stretch out his hands, waiting to shake hands with Sher Boren. In his eyes, Long Bing was already a very big figure, and this Sher Boren was obviously a big figure compared to Long Bing, so he had to be very careful when dealing with such a big figure. "Yes." Sher Boren nodded his head and stretched out his right hand to shake hands with Charlotte. Charlotte said with a smile, "Sher Lao, I knew that you were coming, so I specially cooked a few dishes. Let's eat together." Sher Boren did not move, but suddenly grasped his right hand tightly. A strange force suddenly came from Sher Boren's palm. Charlotte felt that Sher Boren's hand was not a human's hand, but a vice. Out of instinct, his right hand also gathered its strength to contend against Sher Boren. For a time, the two men's hands had blue veins popping out, and their bones issued a clear and distinct crisp sound. "Oh, this kid has hidden his strength well." With these words, Sher Boren's left hand suddenly chopped toward Charlotte's shoulder. Charlotte's left hand lifted up, and the outside of his elbow immediately blocked Sher Boren's attack route. The elbow was one of the hardest parts of the human body. Sher Boren's palm chopped on his elbow, and suddenly a slight muffled sound was heard, and then it bounced off. A trace of surprise flashed through Sher Boren's eyes, and he suddenly lifted his leg and hit Charlotte's lower abdomen with his knee. Xia Lei's upper body leaned forward, his left hand falling down, and his elbow blocked again. The hard elbow collided with the hard knee, and in a louder collision sound, he and Sher Boren finally separated. Long Bing looked at Charlotte in surprise. How did he become so powerful after not seeing him for a while? "Good boy, you're good at Wing Chun." Sher Boren laughed and said, "Boy, where did you learn Wing Chun?" Charlotte said, "Liang Zhongchun is my master." "Liang Zhongchun?" Sher Boren recalled for a moment and said, "I know him. He is the descendant of Yin Yongchun, the founder of Wing Chun. I have heard of this person in the early years, but I have never seen him." Charlotte said, "My master runs a boxing club in Haizhu City. He is low-key and has always lived in seclusion. Sherbourne looked straight at Charlotte, and his eyes seemed to penetrate Charlotte's heart. How long have you been learning Wing Chun? Charlotte opened his mouth and wanted to say more than a month, but he felt that it was inappropriate, so he changed his words and said, for a while. Sherbourne frowned slightly. He didn't seem satisfied with Charlotte's answer. Long Bing interrupted and said, you have fought and chatted. When are we going to eat? Compared to Wing Chun, boss sure, you should really try Charlotte's cooking. His cooking is better than his kung fu. Ah, then I'd like to try. Sherbourne laughed and said, let's eat. Charlotte secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said in his heart, Long Bing just called this Sherbourne boss. This Sherbourne must be your boss. Long Bing is already so powerful, and this Sherbourne is even more powerful. Which department are they in? He wanted to ask this question, but he didn't dare to. Some people's identities were state secrets. How could he, an ordinary person, casually inquire about state secrets? At the table, Sherbourne was eating happily. I haven't eaten such authentic Sichuan cuisine for a long time. It's so satisfying. Long Bing showed a rare smile and said, I didn't lie to you, did I? Even if you go to an authentic Sichuan restaurant, it's not easy to eat such dishes. Charlotte stretched out a foot from under the table and gently kicked Long Bing's ankle. When Long Bing stared at him, he winked at Long Bing. Charlotte was hinting that she shouldn't praise him all the time, which made him feel awkward. However, Long Bing seemed to have a different understanding. Coupled with the fact that he winked at her, her cheeks suddenly turned slightly red. First, she was secretly kicked, and then he winked at her. If this wasn't a suggestive hint, what was it? Well, Sherbourne's mouth showed a strange smile. Can the two of you wait until I'm gone before doing these? Charlotte was embarrassed. Long Bing's face turned even redder. She glared at Charlotte a second time. It was very strange. It was the first time that he saw Long Bing showing her shyness, but Charlotte felt that it was very charming. He actually had a subtle feeling that his heart was palpitating. It was this feeling that made him suddenly lose control of his left eye. Long Bing, who was sitting opposite him, suddenly lost all her clothes. A snow-white neck, a proud mountain, full and firm, as white as jade, and a natural gem inlaid on the top of the snow-capped mountain. Fortunately, there was a dining table as a cover, and Charlotte was able to control his left eye in time. Otherwise, the most mysterious place of Long Bing would have been seen by him. But even if it was just a glimpse, the feeling of amazement was still extremely strong. When he saw the two natural gems on the top of the snow-capped mountain, he felt his blood rushing to his head, and the fabric of his trousers became tense in a second. Before this, he had never thought of using his X-ray vision on Long Bing. But this time, he didn't know what was going on. This idea came so inexplicably that even he didn't notice it. Fortunately, all this was only known by himself. Long Bing didn't know, and Sherbourne also didn't know. After eating and drinking, Long Bing cleaned up the tableware. Sherbourne called Charlotte to the living room to chat. Little Xia, Sherbourne's tone was a bit polite. I will tell you my purpose. I don't like to beat around the bush. Charlotte nodded his head. I also don't like to beat around the bush. Old Sher, please tell me directly. Well, then I will tell you, Sherbourne said. I asked Long Bing to investigate you. I'm very interested in you. Before, Charlotte asked Long Bing who asked her to investigate him. But Long Bing didn't say it. Now Sherbourne admitted it. After getting the answer, Charlotte wasn't surprised at all. You are meticulous, have amazing craftsmanship, and have good kung fu. I heard that you also know several foreign languages. Sherbourne shook his head and said with a wry smile, I really can't figure out why you are so capable and talented. Have you tested your IQ? Charlotte shook his head. No. Sherbourne said, you should really test it. I think the value must be very high. Charlotte was very clear that the reason why he became so versatile was not because of his high IQ, but because his left eye had a special ability, but he couldn't tell Sherbourne this reason. After pausing for a moment, Sherbourne finally revealed the reason for his visit. It's like this. You're a rare talent, and I'd like to recruit you into my department to serve the country. What do you think? At this time, Long Bing cleaned up the dishes and came out of the kitchen. She stood next to Sherborin and looked at Charlotte expectantly. She seemed to have known the purpose of Sherborin's visit, but she didn't say anything. In fact, Charlotte already had an answer in his heart, but he still pretended to think about it, and then said, "Sherlow, I'm sorry. I have my own company, and there are hundreds of people who rely on me to make a living. I can't abandon them. Sherlow, I appreciate your kindness. If there is a chance in the future, I will definitely join your department and serve the country." Sherborin's brows suddenly wrinkled. Long Bing said with a smile, "Mr. Sher, I told you long ago that he is very stubborn. He won't do our business, but you didn't believe me. Do you believe me now? If I could pull him in, I would have pulled him in long ago." Sherborin said again, "Don't you want to think about it?" Charlotte bit the bullet and said, "Sherlow, I've thought about it very clearly." Sherborin interrupted Charlotte's words. "Well, I won't force you, but I'll take a step back, and you can't refuse again." "What?" Charlotte felt a headache. "Be our consultant." Sherborin said, "We don't ask you to participate in all of our operations, but we need your help. You have to help us." "What kind of help?" Charlotte tentatively asked. Sherborin said, "Just like last time, you helped a girl named Jiang Rui solve the case of an archaeology professor. If we have similar needs, you have to help us. Also, if we need to improve any weapons, you have to help us. If we need to repair something, you have to help us." "Okay, I'll be your consultant." Charlotte agreed. Who was Sherborin? He was invited to be a consultant. Although it was just a title and not an actual job, he was invited because he thought highly of him. Others wanted such an opportunity, but they couldn't get it. If he refused again, he would be ungrateful. "Okay, that's settled." Sherborin got up and left. Charlotte also got up to see him off. "Take care, Sherlow." Sherborin suddenly thought of something, turned back and said, "I don't have a salary for you. You don't have any problem with that, do you?" Charlotte said with a smile, "I don't have any problem with that." "Well, you can play. You don't need to see me off." Charlotte, Long Bing, Sherborin left the two embarrassed young people, opened the door and left. Chapter 110. As soon as Sherborin left, Charlotte felt the pressure on his body lightened a lot. Long Bing turned around and looked at Charlotte. Her eyes were full of puzzlement and confusion. "When we first met, you couldn't even beat me, but now you can actually fight with Boss Sher. I know you went to the Wing Chun boxing club to learn Wing Chun, but isn't this too fast? Why do you learn things so fast?" Charlotte spread his hands and looked innocent. "I also want to know why. You see, I'm not a three-headed and six-armed man. I'm just an ordinary person. However, didn't Boss Sher just say that maybe it's because of my high IQ?" Long Bing frowned slightly. Da Vinci is recognized as the person with the highest IQ in this world, but he wouldn't be able to learn things at such an abnormal speed as you. Could it be that your IQ is higher than Da Vinci's? Charlotte changed the topic. "Let's talk about your department and Boss Sher's. It's understandable that you didn't tell me before, but now that I'm your consultant, I'm also one of your people. If I don't even know what my department is called, what kind of person am I?" Long Bing was silent for a moment, and then said, 101 innings. 101 innings? Charlotte had never heard of it. It was a very strange name. Long Bing said, "October 1st is the National Day. 101 innings is named after this sacred day. Its mission is to defend the security of this country. Anti-terrorism, anti-espionage, intelligence collection and counterintelligence operations, and so on. If someone is identified as a threat to this country, we will give him the same rank. When he reaches a certain rank, we will take action to clean him up, regardless of the identity of this person or which country he is from. We have a special title, scavengers. In short, we are always defending this country. If anyone destroys its construction and development, that is our enemy. Our job is to find out the enemy and clean up the enemy." Charlotte's expression suddenly became serious. He was under a lot of pressure. Long Bing smiled faintly. "Are you afraid?" Charlotte forced a smile and said, "I'm just an ordinary person. Boss Sher suddenly asked me to be a consultant for a department like yours. I'm not used to it yet." Long Bing said, "Don't worry. There won't be many times when you need to intervene. Even if you do, we'll protect you. China is so big and there are so many talents. Why me? China does have a lot of talents, but this is the first time we've seen a talent like you. The first time we met, you saw a sniper lurking on the roof of a building a few hundred meters away in the dark and saved my life. This means that your eyesight is far superior to that of ordinary people. Later, you found evidence of the criminal in the garbage of the vacuum cleaner, which helped Jiang Rui solve the case. Before that, the police trace experts searched the whole scene and didn't find any evidence. This shows that you not only have a strong eyesight, but also a very meticulous mind. In addition, you can speak several languages. Not only can you communicate with foreigners, but you can also translate professional foreign language documents. This ability alone is beyond the reach of most people. The most important thing is that you can process ultra-precision parts and repair important precision instruments. You can solve some problems that are difficult for us to solve. The ultra-precision parts you processed for Shenzhou Industry Group last time is an example. Tell me, do you think Boss Sure will let a talent like you slip away from under his nose? So, you deliberately asked me to send the information in person. The purpose is to let me be your consultant, right? Long Bing said, this is Boss Sure's idea. His words are orders, and I have to carry them out. Charlie shrugged. Well, when I met you in Macau, it seemed that these things were destined. I accepted my fate. Do I have any documents or anything? Long Bing shook her head. No, we won't give you any documents. What kind of consultant am I without documents? Long Bing said, you want to take a very powerful document and show it when you are in trouble to scare people, right? Xiaolei looked at her speechlessly. That was what he really thought in his heart just now. If he had an ID issued by Division 101 on him, would Su Jingyi still dare to yell at him like that when Su Jingyi yelled at him in the auditorium of Dongfang Heavy Industry? If he had taken out his ID, would Su Jingyi still dare to yell at him like that? You're stupid to think so. If you show the document, someone will definitely see it. Now is a world of advanced information. Maybe you'll be noticed by someone. If it is passed to the intelligence system of the hostile forces, your identity will be exposed, which is very dangerous for you. Charlotte listened. This was the experience that Long Bing imparted to him. Also, you're very important to us. We will not let you easily intervene in one of our operations. This is also for the purpose of protecting you. Don't tell anyone about what happened tonight. Do you understand what I mean? Charlotte nodded. Okay, I will remember it. I will pretend that this matter did not exist. I will take you to your room. If you need anything, just tell me. You can treat this as your own home. Don't be shy. Long Bing patted Charlotte's shoulder and walked to the stairs. The formal conversation was over. Xiaolei followed her, and his eyes inevitably fell on her perky but wrapped in denim shorts, as well as her beautiful white legs. He didn't know what was going on, but his mind suddenly came to the beautiful white scenery he saw on the dining table before. The full and firm, snow-capped peaks, the bright and beautiful gemstones. Charlotte looked away and looked at the ceiling above his head. He knew that if he didn't look at the ceiling, he would definitely see Long Bing's buttocks. Moreover, it was a buttocks without denim shorts. God had given him extraordinary abilities, but he had not been given a girlfriend. If he saw too many of them, he would be the one who would feel uncomfortable, not Long Bing. He knew this very well. The second floor was a large suite with 3 bedrooms and a study. There was also a gym. The gym was actually converted from the living room. There were a lot of fitness equipment, treadmills, dynamic bicycles, and so on. Long Bing took Charlotte to a bedroom and left after saying a few words. The bedroom was very simple. There was only a bed and a closet. There was also an old-fashioned desk and matching wooden chair placed under the windowsill. Charlotte lay on the bed and thought about the problem. I somehow became a consultant for Division 101. I don't have any documents. I don't have a salary. What can I get? Thinking of this, Xiaolei could not help but smile bitterly. He had paid an unimaginable price, yet there was nothing in return. This was illogical. Even if he was patriotic, he had to eat, didn't he? Wait, I'm really stupid to use money to measure this matter. Who is Sherborin? If I work for him, he can casually give me an order or point me in a direction, and the return would be immeasurable. Other people try to get to know important people. Sure, Boren is the important person among the important people. Getting to know him is my biggest gain. Charlotte quickly figured it out. People who haggle over every little thing are not people who do great things. They don't care about trifles when doing great things. At this time, there was music outside the door. It was a lively sports music. Why is there music at this time? Charlotte was a little puzzled. He got up from the bed, opened the door, and walked out. The music was coming from the converted gym in the living room. Long Bing was doing sit-ups on a fitness equipment. She was wearing a sports bikini, skin-tight shorts, and a tight tank top that exposed her navel. Sweat drenched her skin, as well as the small amount of fabric on her body. The black elastic cotton fabric was very thin. When it was wet, not only did it stick to her snow-white skin, but it also perfectly outlined the lines of her body. Her breasts were big, her buttocks were fat, and her waist was slender. But what was even more infuriating was that the shape of that place was also completely outlined. It exuded a mature and mysterious aura. It made people feel that the elastic cotton was not elastic cotton, but this time, Charlotte's left eye did not move out of line. Based on the scene in front of him, the sports bikini on her body was actually no different from not wearing it. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. He smiled and greeted, "That, do you want to do some exercise?" Asking while knowing the answer was sometimes a good way to ease the awkward atmosphere. Long Bing pulled up her upper body from the fitness equipment. Her full breasts formed a squeezing movement against her thighs. The round and full shape suddenly flattened. She only glanced at Charlotte before putting her body down again. Her legs hooked onto the fitness equipment, and the sports shorts between her legs suddenly tightened. The shape of that place was even more clearly displayed in the air. It was really killing him. Charlotte's breathing suddenly became short. The tempting scene in front of him made his thinking slow. It was difficult for him to think about anything other than her body. But at that moment, Long Bing suddenly pulled up her body, and a gun suddenly appeared in her hand. Without any words or warning, she pulled the trigger without hesitation. Charlotte didn't even have time to react. When he saw the gunshot rang out. The gun was equipped with a silencer, so the gunshot was very quiet. However, the impact of the bullet was very strong, and Charlotte was thrown to the ground. The intense pain almost made him suffocate. He looked at the chest where the gun had been shot in horror, but what he saw was a complete chest. There were only some signs of the cloth being torn, and there was no blood at all. Then he saw a rubber bullet that had fallen to the side. It was a false alarm. However, the moment he was shot, Charlotte really thought that he was dead this time. He swore that he didn't want to experience that feeling again. Long Bing came down from the fitness equipment. Holding the gun with a silencer, she slowly walked to Charlotte's side and looked down at him. Only then did Charlotte catch his breath. He looked up at Long Bing, who had slender legs and exquisite curves, and said angrily, "What are you doing?" Long Bing said lightly, "My figure's not bad, right?" Charlotte was stunned for a moment. What did she mean? Long Bing continued, "Remember, the more beautiful a woman is, the more dangerous she is. In the future, when you meet a strange, beautiful woman and she uses her body to attract you, your brain shouldn't imagine her body. Your brain should think about where she will hide the weapon to kill you." "Charlotte, this is just the first lesson," Long Bing said. "It's not easy to become a consultant for 101 innings. I will train you from time to time, so you have to be mentally prepared." Charlotte lay on the ground. He looked at the mature and mysterious shape between her legs, and his mind was in a mess. She said as if it was easy, but it seemed very difficult to do it. Long Bing seemed to have noticed that Xia Lei was staring at a certain part of her body. She even saw his pants with a lump sticking out. Her brows suddenly furrowed, and the muzzle in her hand suddenly moved to Charlotte's lower abdomen. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Xia Lei let out a miserable shriek. Chapter 111. The next day, Long Bing went to deal with the information. Charlotte followed Xia Shui around the capital as he wished. The brother and sister visited the Great Wall first and went to the Forbidden City in the afternoon. Brother, that is the Emperor's throne. Isn't it grand? In the Palace of Heavenly Purity, Xia Shui pointed to the Emperor's dragon chair. Charlotte looked at the dragon chair and said with a smile, "It's just a wooden chair. It's not as comfortable as the sofa. It symbolizes the power of the Emperor. In the 600 years of the Ming and Qing dynasties, I don't know how many people lost their heads in order to sit on this chair." Blood flowed like a river. Xia Shui looked like she wanted to give Charlotte a history lesson. He didn't know why, but Charlotte suddenly remembered the compass he had repaired. The compass was an antique from the Yongle period. It happened to be a product of the same era as the Forbidden City. This Forbidden City was built by Emperor Zhu Di of the Ming dynasty. The words of Emperor Yongle are also engraved on the compass. With the technology and productivity at that time, to complete such a magical compass, it had to be the family of the emperor. Assuming that the compass was made by Zhu Di himself, what did he want to do with the compass? The past about the compass came to his mind, and Charlotte's mind was full of thoughts. "Brother, I'm going to the bathroom. Can you wait for me here?" Xia Shui said. Go ahead." Charlotte nodded and watched Xia Shui leave. He was still thinking about the compass in his mind, but he was just curious. After Long Bing took the repaired compass away, he never saw it again, and no one talked to him about anything related to the compass. What secrets were hidden in the compass? I'm afraid Zhu Di himself knows best, right? There was no solution after thinking about it. Charlotte made such a conclusion in his heart, and his mouth also showed a trace of a smile. Ring, 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 ring. The phone suddenly rang, and the phone call was from Qi Jingqiu. Charlotte walked out of the Palace of Heavenly Purity and picked up the phone. "Jingqiu, what's the matter? Have you thought about it?" Qi Jingqiu went straight to the point. "My client is running out of patience. Do you think the money is too little or something else?" Seeing the caller ID, Charlotte guessed what she was going to say. He had already prepared an answer for her in his heart. "Is your client in a hurry?" "I'm sorry. I have a lot of things to do during this period. You know, the company has just started operating and the supermarket has just opened. Why don't you ask him to find someone else?" "Charlotte," Qi Jingqiu was angry. "If someone else could do it, would I still be looking for you?" Charlotte laughed. "Then why did he lose his patience? Tell him to wait until I'm done with the things at hand." "You?" Qi Jingqiu softened again, and her voice became coquettish. "Brother Lei Zi, my dearest brother Lei Zi, please help me this time on account of us being classmates for so many years. Of course I'm going to help you. Did I say I wouldn't help you? If I didn't help you, I would have refused long ago." Charlotte said. "Then tell me, what do you want to do to help me?" Actually, without waiting for Charlotte to say an excuse, Qi Jingqiu interrupted Charlotte's words. "Do you want me to sleep with you?" "No problem. I'll come to your house tonight. I'll wash myself clean and wait for you. I'll serve you like a god. What do you think?" Only a woman like Qi Jingqiu could say something like that. Moreover, what she said was not a lie. As long as Xia Lei nodded, she would really do it. She would wash him clean and change all kinds of tricks to serve Xia Lei as if he was an immortal. However, Charlotte didn't dare to nod. "Brother Lazy, will you? As long as you nod, I'll do anything you want. You can play however you want. Okay?" Qi Jingqiu's voice was like a baby's, which could make people's bones tremble. "Let's not make this kind of joke. I'm in the capital now. Let's talk about it when I come back." Charlotte couldn't stand her teasing anymore. "You're in the capital? What are you doing in the capital?" Qi Jingqiu's voice suddenly became normal. Charlotte said, "It's like this. I'm with a Shenzhou Industry Group to do something. They also have a new order for me. So it's like this. Okay, we'll talk about it when you come back. Let me tell you first, I placed the order earlier than Shenzhou Industry Group. You have to finish it for me first." Qi Jingqiu said. Charlotte smiled and said, Okay, I'll finish it for you first. Okay, that's it. I'll contact you later. Goodbye." Without waiting for Qi Jingqiu to say anything, Charlotte hung up the phone. Although he hung up the phone, Qi Jingqiu's voice lingered in Charlotte's mind. He quietly recalled the conversation just now, and there was a trace of doubt in his heart. Qi Jingqiu's reaction is normal. Isn't she afraid that I'll find out what the parts are for? Or is this a normal transaction, and I'm just being too suspicious? Also, what role does Gu Qun play in this matter? A series of questions, but the answer was hidden in a deep place. It was difficult to find. Brother. Xia Shui's voice called Charlotte's thoughts back. Charlotte looked up at Charlotte and was suddenly stunned. There was a red palm print on Xia Shui's cheek, and there were faint tears in her eyes. Brother, let's go back. There's nothing to see here. Xia Shui didn't dare to look at Charlotte's eyes. She just urged him to leave. Charlotte said in a low voice, Why is there a palm print on your face? Who hit you? Tell me what's going on. No, nothing. Xia Shui said nervously. Brother, don't ask. Let's go. Charlotte resisted the anger in his heart. Say it. Nothing. I just want to know what's going on. Just now? Woo-woo. It seemed that she suddenly returned to the moment of humiliation. Xia Shui's tears suddenly rolled down, and the words she wanted to say were sobbing. At this moment, 3 girls of 18 or 19 years old and 4 young men of about 20 years old came here. One of the girls suddenly pointed at Xia Shui and said, She is there. That little b asterisk tch is there. Charlotte looked at the direction of the voice. The 3 girls were wearing revealing clothes. They were young and had heavy makeup. At first glance, it was obvious that they were delinquent girls. The 4 youths were also dressed in gaudy clothes, and each of them had tattoos and ear studs on their bodies. The dressing and temperament of this group of young men weren't normal. Seeing this group of young men, he seemed to have guessed something. His face suddenly became gloomy. Xia Shui pulled Charlotte's hand in fear and said anxiously, Brother, let's go. Charlotte didn't move. Go. Go where? They were the ones who hit you, right? Brother, let's go. I beg you. Xia Shui was about to cry again. Charlotte still didn't leave. The more Xia Shui felt wronged and afraid, the more angry he was. 7 young men ran over. In the blink of an eye, they surrounded Charlotte and Xia Shui. A girl with smoky makeup pointed at Xia Shui and scolded, D*MN, little b asterisk tch. What did you say just now? No quality? Today I want to know what quality is. Xia Shui hid behind Charlotte and trembled with fear. Charlotte said aloud, What's the matter? Who are you calling a little b asterisk tch? You better clean your mouth. The girl with smoky makeup didn't seem to expect Charlotte to dare to talk back. She was so angry that she laughed. Oh, it turns out that you're looking for help. What should I do? I'm so scared. Ha ha. The 4 young men laughed. The other 2 delinquent girls also laughed. This laughter was full of ridicule and contempt. Charlotte's eyes became cold. The girl with smoky makeup suddenly pointed at Xia Shui, who was hiding behind Charlotte. She said fiercely, D*MN, I threw my sanitary napkin on the ground. What does it have to do with you? You dare to say that I have no quality. If I don't take off your clothes and upload a video online today, I will. Her voice suddenly stopped because Charlotte's slap had already landed on her face. In a fit of rage, Xia Lei slapped her across the face, and her head spun 90 degrees around. A big tooth also flew out of her mouth and pierced the face of a young man. This slap stunned the group of young men because they didn't expect that this seemingly gentle man would suddenly make a move, and it was such a ruthless move. The girl with smoky makeup who was slapped was stunned for a moment. She suddenly shouted, Why are you still standing there? Hit him. Whoever knocks him down, I will sleep with him tonight. The 4 young men looked at each other and rushed forward. Xia Lei kicked a young man who was charging at him to the ground, and then hit the face of the young man who was pouncing at him from behind with his elbow. That guy fell to the ground with his head in his hands. Without waiting for the other 2 to come back to their senses, Xia Lei twisted his body and kicked another one to the ground with a side kick. The remaining 1 ran away. 3 of the 4 people were knocked down in the blink of an eye, and 1 escaped. The 3 girls were suddenly scared. They wanted to run, but Charlotte rushed over and blocked in front of them. He waved his hand, and the 3 girls were so scared that they screamed and squatted on the ground. At this time, a large group of tourists also surrounded them. They pointed at Charlotte and the 3 girls in disgust. Charlotte was still angry. He asked sternly, Who hit my sister? The other two girls looked at the girl with smoky makeup. Although they didn't speak, their eyes had already given the answer. It was this girl with smoky makeup who hit Xia Shui. It's you. Charlotte looked at the girl with smoky makeup. The girl with smoky makeup said rudely, "So what if it's me? You dare to hit me? I will go back and tell my elder brother. My elder brother will bring his brothers to find you. You wait." Charlotte couldn't control the anger in his heart anymore. He kicked the girl with smoky makeup in the chest. The girl with smoky makeup screamed and rolled on the ground a few times. Then she fainted. She is just a little girl. Why did you hit her so hard? Someone in the crowd said, "Yeah, even if she did something wrong, you can just teach her a lesson. Isn't this a bit too ruthless?" Someone said, "With this kick, I'm afraid she will have to lie in the hospital for a long time." Someone said, "It's a good hit. Such a delinquent girl is too arrogant. She mingled in the underworld at such a young age. I really don't know how her parents educated her." Some people said that it was a good hit. That's right. At this age, she should go to school. Mingling in the underworld, being a prostitute, and being the lover of those bad guys. Are they worthy of their parents' kindness of raising them? This was also agreed upon. These discussions fell into the ears of Charlotte, and his emotions slowly calmed down. In fact, if it weren't for his sister, Xia Shui, being beaten up, he definitely wouldn't hit her so hard. It must be known that his sister, Xia Shui, was his lifeblood. Xia Shui was the baby of his family since she was a child. His parents couldn't bear to scold her. He didn't even say a harsh word to Xia Shui. Xia Shui had been well-behaved since she was a child. When did she suffer such an insult? Hitting Xia Shui was more uncomfortable than cutting his flesh. "The police are here," someone suddenly said. Charlotte then said to Xia Shui, "You should go back to school." "But, brother," Xia Shui didn't want to leave alone at this time. Charlotte glared at her. "You're still a student. Focus on your studies. I won't have any trouble. Go." "Brother," Xia Shui still wanted to say something, but Charlotte pushed her into the crowd of onlookers. Xia Shui left with tears. Two policemen pushed through the crowd and walked in front of Charlotte. Two girls squatting on the ground suddenly pointed at Charlotte and said, "It's him. He hurt my sister." A policeman said, "The injured are sent to the hospital. You all follow me to the police station." Another policeman took out a handcuff and looked at Charlotte. He said bluntly, "Give me your hand." Xia Lei hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still extended his hand. Ka! A pair of silver handcuffs fell on Charlotte's wrist. In the crowd, a middle-aged man showed a strange smile. He watched Charlotte being taken away by two policemen. After they went far, he took out a cell phone from his trouser pocket. Chapter 112. Charlotte was taken to a police station next to the Forbidden City. The police officer who handcuffed him was in charge of interrogating him. The police officer's surname was Wang, and his name was Wang Wei. Hearing other policemen call him that, Charlotte knew that he was the chief of the police station in this jurisdiction. "Do you know what you've done wrong?" In the interrogation room, Wang Wei slammed the notebook on the table. His expression was very serious, and his tone was harsh. "You beat a minor girl, and the girl is only 17 years old. This is against the law, and you might go to jail. As for how long, it depends on the judge's decision. So, you'd better correct your attitude." Charlotte said, "It's wrong to hit someone, but I was defending myself." Wang Wei's eyebrows suddenly frowned. He obviously didn't want to hear such a statement. Charlotte ignored Wang Wei's feelings and continued, "The cause of this incident was just that my sister said that the girl shouldn't have thrown the sanitary napkin on the ground in the bathroom. The girl slapped my sister in the face, and my sister ran away. But the girl didn't let it go and chased after me with her people. I asked the reason, and she asked her companions to hit me. At that time, there were 4 young men. If I didn't fight back, it would be me and my sister lying in the hospital. So, I was defending myself. I didn't break the law." Wang Wei said unhappily, "If you do this, I can't help you." Charlotte said, "You don't need to help me. If she wants to sue me, I will hire a lawyer. I can find witnesses." Also, there are surveillance cameras everywhere in the Forbidden City. You can check the surveillance cameras to see what happened. Oomph. Do I need you to teach me how to do things? Wang Wei was angry. Charlotte didn't speak and just looked at Wang Wei. He didn't believe that a person he had never met would take the initiative to help him. Wang Wei said that he broke the law and he might go to jail, but he didn't even ask the cause and process of the incident. What was this? I'm just telling the truth. I didn't mean to teach you how to do things. Charlotte maintained his restraint. Wang Wei said, "It seems that I have to call your sister over to assist in the investigation." Charlotte's eyebrows suddenly frowned. "I was the one who hit her. Why did you call my sister over? She's just a student and a victim." The corner of Wang Wei's mouth revealed a trace of a sneer. "These are all your words. Do you have any proof?" The girl was still lying in the hospital, and the injury report was not out yet, but it was estimated that it was very serious. She couldn't stay out of such a big thing, could she? "Let me tell you, your sister might also be detained. She might even be punished by the school, or even expelled." Charlotte was immediately enraged. "What's wrong with you? Are you messing with me on purpose? Mind what you say. I'm just doing business. Think about it carefully. I'll get someone to bring your sister here, and then I'll record your statement." Wang Wei got up and prepared to leave. Charlotte called out, "Wait, what exactly do you want?" Wang Wei put his hands on the table and moved his face closer to Charlotte. He said in a low voice, "Confess." Charlotte was stunned for a moment. "Think about it carefully. I'll come over later." Wang Wei left the interrogation room. Charlotte sat quietly, and his heart was confused. This matter wasn't normal. According to the normal procedure, the police should check the surveillance footage and question the witnesses. It was indeed wrong for him to hit someone, but at most, it was excessive self-defense. It couldn't be considered a criminal offense. If such a case was handed over to the judge, at most, he would only be sentenced to pay medical expenses. He wouldn't be detained, let alone sent to jail. However, this Wang Wei hinted that he had broken the law at the beginning. After seeing his tough attitude, he even used Xia Shui to threaten him to confess. In such a matter, if he still couldn't smell the smell of conspiracy, then he was really a fool. I have never seen this Wang Wei. I have no grievances with him. Why would he frame me? This is the first time I've been to Jingdu. What kind of people are here? Thinking of this, Charlotte's heart suddenly moved. How could I forget? Although the Gu family made their fortune in Haizhu, they moved to Jingdu after they made their fortune. Now that I'm in Jingdu, if Gu Qian wants to mess with me, isn't it just a matter of a sentence? Could it be Gu Qian? However, the order in Qi Jingxiu's hand is likely to be related to the Gu family. I haven't promised to process it for them yet. At this time, the Gu family is unlikely to frame me and put me in jail, right? The Gu family is the biggest suspect, but I can't be sure. If it isn't the Gu family, then who is it? After thinking about it, he couldn't figure it out. Charlotte's eyes also moved to the window of the interrogation room. The window was installed with special glass. The situation inside could be seen from the outside, but the situation outside couldn't be seen from the inside. Charlotte's left eye moved slightly, and the glass window that blocked his line of sight disappeared from his field of vision. Now, he was used to using the ability of his left eye to solve problems. As soon as the glass window disappeared, the scene outside entered Charlotte's field of vision. He saw Wang Wei standing in the hallway on the phone. His left eye immediately locked on Wang Wei's lips, and he interpreted Wang Wei's words with his lips. "He is already in my hands. No problem. You are right. His weakness is his sister. If I use his sister as an excuse, he won't be able to do anything." Wang Wei's face showed a smile. "Don't worry. As long as he pleads guilty, I will let the doctor write a more serious injury report." The police officer who was ordered to arrest someone at Capital University suddenly ran from a corner. He pointed at Xia Shui. "Chief Wang, she is Xia Shui." Wang Wei was surprised. "You are Xia Shui?" Xia Shui said, "And I am Xia Shui." "Excuse me, where is my brother?" Charlotte? Wang Wei sneered. You want to see your brother? You came at the right time. I was about to send someone to arrest you, but you came to surrender yourself. Very well, handcuff her. Why arrest me? Xia Shui was stunned. The police officer who was ordered to arrest Xia Shui took off the handcuffs and went forward to put them on Xia Shui. Long Bing pulled Xia Shui behind her. Wang Wei said angrily, Who are you? Do you dare to obstruct official business? Long Bing said faintly, I am here to perform official business. You are here to perform what official business? Wang Wei probed. Long Bing said, This case is already under my responsibility. I am here to take Charlotte away. What a joke. Wang Wei's attitude was very tough. You said that the case is already under your responsibility. Who authorized it? Do you have the relevant instructions? Long Bing took out an ID from her handbag and handed it to Wang Wei. Charlotte's eyes moved to Long Bing's ID. It didn't say 101 innings, but the ID of the National Security Bureau. Her position was division chief. This was the first time Charlotte saw Long Bing's ID, but he knew that this ID was just a cover. It wasn't a real ID. In fact, looking at the entire China, how many people knew about 101 innings? 101 innings was so mysterious that even Charlotte, the consultant, hadn't seen its ID, let alone the small police chief in front of him. When he looked at Long Bing's ID, Wang Wei suddenly became nervous. He probed, What is going on? Charlotte just beat up an underage girl. How can you handle such a case? This isn't something you can ask. Don't talk nonsense. Let her go now. I want to take her away now. Long Bing said. Wang Wei looked hesitant. Long Bing said faintly, You should be a smart person. If this matter continues to be like this, you will probably have to go to the street to get a ticket. Wang Wei's face suddenly turned pale. He shouted at the police officer, Why are you still standing there? Let her go. Chapter 113. You're really something. In the blink of an eye, you caused such a thing. If Xia Shui hadn't called me, I wouldn't have known that something had happened to you. Walking out of the police station, Long Bing rolled her eyes at Charlotte. When she spoke, there was a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. These 2 days, she obviously smiled more than before. Before Charlotte could speak, Xia Shui rushed to say, Sister Long, this has nothing to do with my brother. It's me. I shouldn't have said that, girl. Long Bing touched Xia Shui's head. You're too kind and innocent. Some people and things can't be avoided just because you want to. Xia Shui stuck out her tongue. It seemed that her relationship with Long Bing was not bad. Charlotte said, Xiao Shui, get in the car. I want to talk to your sister Long. Some things were inconvenient to talk about in front of Xia Shui. Xia Shui responded obediently and got into the military off-road vehicle that Long Bing had driven over without taking any pictures of her. After Xia Shui got in the car, Charlotte said, This matter was caused by Su Lang. He found someone to beat my sister. He wants to frame me and put me in jail. Long Bing was slightly stunned. How do you know that it was Su Lang who wanted to frame you? Charlotte said, when Wang Wei was on the phone, I happened to hear it. The real reason was X-ray vision and lip reading, but he couldn't say such a reason. Long Bing frowned. Even if Su Lang wanted to frame you, how can you beat an underage girl to death in a place like the Forbidden City? Charlotte smiled bitterly. It's fine to touch me, but it's not okay to touch my sister. She's grown up, and I can't even bear to scold her, let alone slap her. Long Bing sighed. Xia Shui is indeed very obedient, and I like her very much. However, it's not good for you to protect her like this. Think about it. Others just slapped her, and you lost control and beat them to death. If someone hurts Xia Shui again, won't you kill that person? Charlotte fell silent. Although he didn't say anything, he had to admit that what Long Bing said made sense. This time, Su Lang had grasped this weakness of his, which was why he dared to use such a despicable method to frame him. If someone were to use Xia Shui to threaten him in the future and hurt Xia Shui even more, wouldn't he lose his mind? It's just Su Lang, yet you're already so impulsive. This won't do. You have to learn to control your emotions, said Long Bing. Charlotte nodded and said with a smile, Is this the second lesson you taught me? What kind of class is this? Long Bing said, I just want to remind you. Let's go home. You're in charge of cooking. Xiao Xue and I are in charge of eating. Yes, I'm going home to cook, Charlotte replied casually. When this sentence was said, he and Long Bing's expressions were a bit awkward. It was true. It was normal for Long Bing to say they were going home because it was really her home. However, Charlotte saying they were going home was a bit abnormal. If Long Bing's home was his home, then wouldn't he be Long Bing's man? However, this awkwardness was nothing compared to the awkwardness when Long Bing gave him a lesson last night. Just as Long Bing drove away from the police station, Wang Wei walked out. After watching Long Bing's military off-road vehicle without a license plate drive away, he took out his phone and dialed Su Lang's number. Hello, is it done? Su Lang's voice came from the phone. His voice was full of joy. Hearing Su Lang's voice, Wang Wei couldn't help but clench his teeth, then said angrily, Su Lang, you brat, do you want to kill me? I've treated you well. How can you harm me like this? Tell me. The phone was silent for a few seconds before Su Lang's voice came. Wang Wei, did you take the wrong medicine? When did I want to harm you? What good would it do me to harm you? Tell me clearly what's going on. Wang Wei said angrily, you asked me to arrest him and use his sister's future to blackmail him into confessing, but suddenly a woman came and took him away. Do you know who that woman is? She's from a national security agency. What? The National Security Agency? How is that possible? That brat is just a construction worker. How could he know someone from a national security agency? Su Lang was very surprised. I saw her ID. Her name is Long Bing, and she's a director. Long Bing? So it's her. Su Lang remembered that Su Jingyi had warned him not to provoke that woman. However, he never would have thought that Long Bing would use her identity from the National Security Agency to pressure people for this kind of thing. Su Lang, our friendship ends here. Don't contact me in the future. After saying that, Wang Wei hung up the phone without waiting for Su Lang to speak. Offending a director of the National Security Agency for some old friendship and small favors? Wang Wei didn't think he was that stupid. In a special residential area marked 57, Long Bing parked the car. Xia Xue and Charlotte got out of the car with bags of things they bought from the supermarket. This scene really did look like a family. A newly married couple and a smart little sister. It was harmonious and happy. However, an uninvited guest broke this beautiful picture. Before the three of them walked into the front yard full of roses, they saw the old man standing at the door waiting, Mu Jianfeng. Mu Jianfeng didn't come empty-handed. He was also carrying a gift bag in his hand. It looked like chocolate or pastries. A skinny but hale and hearty old man with fashionable and delicious gifts. Mu Jianfeng seemed to be a picture of himself. However, this picture wasn't very harmonious and didn't have a sense of beauty. However, the CEO of China Industrial Group came to visit. Even if Mu Jianfeng was carrying a bundle of lettuce or a bundle of garlic sprouts, it was still something to be proud of. Long Bing greeted him and said politely, Elder Mu, what brings you here? Mu Jianfeng chuckled, Xiaofeng. This Xiaofeng was obviously referring to Charlotte. Xiaolei dared not delay and greeted him with a smile. Elder Mu, you could have just given me a call if you wanted to look for me. I should be the one paying you a visit. How could I trouble you to come all the way here? Mu Jianfeng looked at Charlotte and said with a slightly reproachful tone, You brat, do you know where my house is? If I didn't come, you brat definitely wouldn't come to my house. Am I right? Charlotte was speechless. Xia Xue stood beside Charlotte and bowed. She smiled and said crisply, Hello, Grandpa Mu. I'm Xia Xue. I'm Charlotte's little sister. Xia Xue was still the most obedient. Mu Jianfeng chuckled, not bad, not bad. You're more likable than your brother. Long Bing opened the door. Elder Mu, please come in. Let's talk inside. You came at the right time. I'll get Charlotte to cook dinner. You could just make do with a meal at my house. Mu Jianfeng didn't stand on ceremony. I'm just here to freeload. Since Charlotte is cooking, then I'll eat. However, can his food be served on the table? Long Bing smiled. Then you'll see. You're making him sound so amazing. Xiaolei, you're not just a mechanic. Are you also a chef? I don't believe it, Mu Jianfeng said. Charlotte smiled. Elder Mu, what do you want to eat? Just order. As long as there are ingredients at home, I'll make it for you. Mu Jianfeng said Australian steak, Italian pie, Japanese sashimi. He smiled and said, I won't test you. I'll just order 3 dishes casually. Charlotte looked at this old man speechlessly. The 3 dishes he ordered almost circled around the earth. He actually had the nerve to say that he wouldn't test him. Xia Shui pouted. Grandpa Mu, you're clearly testing my brother. I know his culinary skills. He can't make these 3 dishes. You can order 3 other dishes. My brother is the best at making mapo tofu. You'll definitely like it. Mu Jianfeng smiled. Hee, all right, Charlotte interrupted Mu Jianfeng. There's no need to order anything else. I can make it. No matter what, I can't spoil Elder Mu's mood, right? That's what you said. Mu Jianfeng said, if you can't make authentic Japanese sashimi, Italian pie, and Australian steak, I'll only pay half of the order. What if I can make it? Charlotte was full of confidence. I can't give you more money, but I can give you more for ordinary orders. Do you dare to take this bet? Mu Jianfeng looked like he was sure to win. Charlotte smiled. Okay, it's a deal. Long Bing winked at Charlotte and reminded him, Charlotte, Elder Mu is a famous gourmet in Kyoto. He was also a judge on a food show. You have to think carefully. She was reminding Charlotte to do a good job. He couldn't fool him. Charlotte nodded and then went into the kitchen. He taught himself how to cook for fun. At most, he just wanted to make the dishes taste better. However, once he started learning, he immersed himself in it. Coupled with the ability of his left eye, he couldn't even remember how many dishes he could cook very well. Charlotte was cooking in the kitchen. Xia Shui couldn't stay idle and went to the kitchen to help Charlotte. Long Bing and Mu Jianfeng were talking in the living room. Miss, can you see through this kit? This was the first sentence Mu Jianfeng said to Long Bing. Long Bing gently shook her head. I can't see through, but he's not a bad person. I can guarantee that. Do you know why I'm here today? Long Bing looked at Mu Jianfeng. Elder Mu, you must be here for Charlotte. I'm here to make him fulfill his promise. Mu Jianfeng said, he promised me that after his company is established, he will go to Europe to investigate ultra-precision lathes. Then he will come back to modify domestic lathes to reach the most advanced level in Europe and America. You wanted to go abroad? Long Bing was a little surprised. Mu Jianfeng nodded. This is very important. The higher-ups also attach great importance to it. He will definitely go. He's a man of his word. Long Bing said. And you? Mu Jianfeng suddenly said. Long Bing was stunned. Me? What does this have to do with me? Mu Jianfeng said. It's because this is very important that he needs someone like you to escort him. With you by his side, he'll be much safer. Your chances of completing the mission will also be much higher. Have you discussed this with Boss Shi? Mu Jianfeng smiled. Without discussing it with him, would I dare to borrow his favorite general? With his bad temper, wouldn't he be angry with me? Long Bing said, if that's the case, then I'll accept this mission. In less than 40 minutes, Charlotte came out of the kitchen with a plate of steak and a plate of pizza. Xia Shui followed him out with a plate of sashimi and seasonings. Charlotte's expression was very calm, but Xia Shui looked very excited. She obviously just found out that her brother had become the god of cooking. Oh, he really made it. This kid is amazing, but I don't know if the taste is authentic. Mu Jianfeng got up from the sofa, eager to taste it. Long Bing also went to watch the fun. Charlotte and Xia Shui put the dishes on the table and arranged the chopsticks, knives, and forks. Mu Jianfeng first picked up a piece of sashimi with his chopsticks, then dipped it in the seasonings, and then put it in his mouth and chewed slowly. His brows were slightly furrowed, and his expression was very dignified. Xia Shui said nervously, Grandpa Mu, how is my brother's cooking? Mu Jianfeng didn't speak. He shook his head, put down the chopsticks, picked up the knife and fork, and cut a small piece of steak and put it in his mouth to chew. Soon, his brows were furrowed again. Xia Shui said anxiously, Grandpa Mu, I've tasted this steak. It's very delicious, isn't it? Mu Jianfeng still didn't speak, but his expression was more dignified, as if he was very unhappy. Then, he cut a small piece of pizza and put it in his mouth to chew. Xiaoshui didn't ask this time and said directly, Grandpa Mu's taste is really high. You will definitely say that the taste is not authentic. At this time, Mu Jianfeng laughed. You little girl can't read my mind. How do you know what I want to say? Xiaoshui said angrily. I just know. Mu Jianfeng said with a smile. The taste is authentic. There's nothing to say. I find it strange that you can make authentic Italian pizza, Australian steak, and Japanese sashimi in such a kitchen. Why did you change your career to be a mechanic? This sentence was simple, but it was an affirmation of Charlotte's cooking skills. Charlotte also smiled. Elder Mu, I did it. You have to give our company more ordinary orders. I'm a man of my word. I won't go back on my word. Mu Jianfeng said. Also, I have something to tell you. Charlotte said, I know. You're going abroad, right? You have to give me 2 days. I'll leave after I'm ready. Mu Jianfeng looked at Charlotte in surprise. How did you know? Charlotte shrugged. I guessed it when I saw you outside the door. Mu Jianfeng pointed at Charlotte and nodded, but he didn't say anything. At this time, Long being interrupted, 3 dishes are not enough. I'll also order 2 dishes. I want to eat the British-style mashed potatoes and the Iranian-style roast mutton. Charlotte, that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.